सॉल्विंग SFGs डे एंड नाइट। लेवल 1 नहीं किया था उन्होंने पहले सॉल्व, तो रात रात को बैठ के करते थे।
मेरे को वो एक रैंक की तलब लग गई थी सर, एक बार आने लगी तो फिर लगा कि नहीं यार नीचे नहीं जानी चाहिए।
जो यहाँ पे टेस्ट होगा आई विल गिव, चाहे मैंने कैसे भी दिया हो, पर मैंने वो टेस्ट रेगुलर दिए जब तक मैं यहाँ पे था।
Yes, good evening everyone. Okay, stand up everyone. Some people are still sitting thinking. Short-heighted people are enjoying their seats. Okay, now you may sit down. So we are sitting in this class, assembling in this class today with one objective, and that is never again we should sit in this class for this objective, isn't it? So for most of you, especially the ones deeply affected, are you done with the crying or still going on? Going on, all right. It'll take about first 3 days, it takes about 3-4 days for the feeling to sink in, depending on how high your stakes are. If you remember correctly, immediately after the mains examination, something was told in this very classroom, and that was that please write a journal entry or a record of how your examination went and what were the things that you needed to do, what were the things that you needed to improve. The purpose of saying that was immediately after the examination, most of us have a very objective assessment of how the paper went. And with the passage of time, we forget all the bad things and only remember the good things we have done. And weeks and months away from the examination, most of us feel that the paper we had written a wonderful paper. And by the time the result comes, we are in a phase where we have developed the highest expectations from ourselves, from the results, to the point that sometimes when it comes crashing down, it takes quite a while to absorb the shock. Not just for us, but for everyone who has seen us struggle, who has seen us clear the prelims and then go for the mains. And the expectations are there that we all be appearing for the interview, and this time we'll be clearing it, especially if it was the first time you cleared the prelims examination. So broadly, before we begin, I just want to ask the class, how many of you have, this was a second time or more that you were unable to clear the mains examination? Raise your hands. Second time or more. All right. And rest everybody is first time. Raise your hands, those who are first time mains. Fair enough. I did not call you here to tell you something like this. And this incidentally came to me, not because I had the plan, ki agli baar ho jayega. This is not what I called you to come and say here. The purpose of this was that today we were testing a mobile application for sending the messages for the ForumIAS community, and then I stumbled through a very old message of an old student. Right, and who had specifically said that, sir, I have not cleared it, and I did not write to you to hear that. Agli baar ho jayega. I'll share it with you sometime. But broadly, before I begin, all of you may ask, as we do always, your specific questions that you may have. Then I'll come up with what I have to say. Anyone has any questions? Unless they're all answered. Yes. Anybody else?
What is bare minimum for mains and how to make one page notes?
Develop a muscle memory.
Flooding of material है सर, उसको कैसे sort करें?
हाँ? Flooding of material.
What will guarantee selection?
You mentioned that there are some check boxes for prelims and there are some check boxes for mains. So what are those check boxes?
Mains check boxes.
What is shift please?
Shifting for prelims.
How much does handwriting matter?
Yes.
Can start, is it enough time for 2026?
So does a topper seem to overperform in an answer, or do they want an average, consider the average answers?
Does a topper?
So I mean, do they want to overperform? Is that their objective to overperform in a GS answer?
A student who's clearing this exam with a good score, what do they do? Do they write above average answers in everything, or they overperform? All right. Answer strategy.
So the value addition.
So is there a number of points scheme, like you have to write these many number of points?
Sir, in library, sir, some people reading something else, some people reading something else. So how to manage this FOMO, sir?
Huh?
The quality of
Quality of?
concise and quality.
Anybody else?
Adequate time for each subject.
Adequate?
Time for each subject.
I mean, right now, with respect to different papers, are you saying that?
So next attempt they are doing.
Utilize?
We have to give other state PSC related.
What is the essence of the essay exam? Is it a reflection on these things?
I will not get into essay today. Otherwise, it will require a separate discussion. But anybody who feels very, very deeply disappointed, anybody who feels that I had done everything I could, and then I could not. All right. You feel that you had done everything. Why do you think so? Just asking.
It was my first attempt and I planned to do only one attempt, and I got whatever the topper said, practice about 40 tests, 40 full length tests. Like similarly for prelims I had done about 10,000 MCQs and I qualified. But for mains I had practiced a lot, still unable to make it. Notes were ready, everything was ready, but not able to assess where there was a shortage.
सर इससे रिलेटेड एक चीज़ ये भी है कि हमारी मार्कशीट्स हमारे पास नहीं है तो हम कैसे अपनी सेल्फ असेसमेंट को एक्यूरेट मान सकते हैं किस हद तक?
Sir, is it bad to not qualify second?
Is it bad to not qualify second mains? Huh?
Fear in starting again.
The fear in starting again.
So the inertia and where to begin.
Come again?
The inertia.
We'll not get into the scaling debates because that opens us to some sort of nihilism. And if you begin with not being able to fix at least some bare minimums, then there is nothing to bank on. Once you become a relativist, you become a nihilist, and then there is a free fall. There is nothing you can do to change your fate. And once you've done with that, there is no scope of making an effort.
So redemption of the last 2 months.
Retention of?
Last 2 months.
You mean redemption?
Redemption.
All right, so I'll take up these questions. But before we begin, I probably, we are meeting here so that you can rebuild after the mains examination, so that 2026 or whenever we write the attempt, we are able to see success. I know a lot of you want that. A lot of you have a grievance with UPSC, with the examination process, that you are unable to find both certainty as well as stability. I'm not going to absolve UPSC or the exam process with these grievances that you may have, but I would weaken those grievances, not because I'm a coaching teacher, but because I meet thousands of students in their 20s, a lot of them preparing for civil services, a lot of them not preparing, a lot of them planning to. And I can tell you that all the instability and uncertainty that you have in life, which you currently in this phase, you attribute solely to the civil services, I can tell you it is also a function of your age. I mean, I do not know anyone who has a stable 20s. Even if you were unstable, this is the age where people jump from what I call, from a very stable positions, because in this age, most people experiment. I'm sure a lot of you here have jumped into UPSC and said that it's uncertain, whereas you clearly left something that was very certain. It wasn't. So in your 20s, if you're thinking that your career will be very stable and you will have one final job that you will do till 60s, well, it takes time for those things to settle in. I'm not just saying this about career. If you think that in your 20s you will have friends who will last for a lifetime, it will take some time to discover those friends. If you think, any of you think that you will have relationships that will last, I'm telling you, most relationships will end. Multiple of them will end by the time you hit your end of your 20s. So if you're looking for a lot of certainties, if you're looking for those comforts and guidance, that is you're not going to get, not because I'm not the one promising it, but because those simply don't exist in your 20s. Unless you decide to aim for something that is extremely low hanging, unless you decide to aim for something which nobody else wants, that is both career, friends, life partners, or any relationships. Unless you're looking for something to settle down that is not the most desirable part, it will be uncertain, whether it is UPSC, whether you do something else. So not that your grievances are not correct, they are correct, but the strength of your grievances, to some extent you should understand, or you have to accept that 20s is like this. Even if I put you in a stable platform, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of students who are in the services and they've gotten inside the exact service they wanted, and now they want to jump the boat. Some of them want to jump to the private sector, some of them are in IPS, they want to do something else. The settlement generally comes by when their 20s ends and the 30s begins, where other things start to take over, other things which become more pressing than what you want to do in life. That's what I want to begin with. As far as ki agli baar ho jayega, I'll come to that, but I think this was the message I got. I suddenly saw it after this was sometime in 2022 because I was testing the app. So I got this message from someone. I cry a lot and I've never been those typical symptom people exhibiting after crying. Nobody could make out that I'm sobbing like a baby for a few moments. And today I can't even look at myself in the mirror. Not because I'm miserable, which I'm obviously am, but because my eyes are swollen so much it's difficult for me to focus on any object. I was scoring 110 plus. I was getting from Forum 119. I have background in biology and law and 3 levels of this. I practice maths. And I'm not filled with self-pity or doubt. It's grief. And I don't want to hear, you'll make it next time. That's what nobody wants to hear. I mean, at least not at this stage. So this is where the phrase, next attempt was supposed to be the last year's next time, and it did happen. Go through this. Soak it in for a moment. To a lot of you, I want to say that if it is taking a toll on your mental health, if it is taking a toll such that you've reached the end of it all, where you cannot take it any longer, there is nothing wrong with doing the 2 things. The first choice is a quit, and the second choice is take up a job. Though we run a coaching, but I strongly recommend that you can try any of these two things. If at all you feel like you do not want to do this any longer, and there is something else which you have an opportunity cost, I strongly recommend quitting. The second is I also recommend that if you have financial difficulties or you feel that the mental cost of struggling every year is not good, you can take up a job. And I'm telling you that if this is your calling, if this is what you are meant to do, something will happen and you will come back and do this. Because we often meet destiny on the path we take to avoid her. I repeat, we often meet destiny on the path you take to avoid her. Young children come with parents and they say that, sir, can you guide them for a career counseling? And a young student came, not very bright, and he said, I want to pursue law. I ended up recommending him doing a BCA. He could not get a BTech admission. I recommended him to do a BCA probably, and then maybe an MCA so that he could at least get one of those TCS packages. That was my understanding. He said no, he wanted to conquer two things, either field of law or UPSC. I felt it was too risky. So I said you can do both of these and then come back either for law or for UPSC. Especially when a time when his other cousins and his friends were elder cousins had been settled in tech jobs and they were doing quite well. My reason for giving such an advice to a person who wants to get into uncertain fields like law is, or UPSC, is that these are high risk, high reward arenas. And therefore, wherever the rewards are very high, the risk factors are very high. So one must secure. The guardian, before leaving, he said, sir, my son once saw a high court judge and that is what he wants to become. Do you really think that he should not pursue law and not try for law and then instead of taking up a tech degree? I happen to know his two elder cousins who were well settled in tech jobs. Because I happen to know them, I said, no, if you really have to become a high court judge, if it is written, probably, then no matter what he does, BCA, MCA, MBA, whatever he does, in the end, he will come back, pursue law, and if he has to become a high court judge, which is his true calling, he will become it. As a guardian, our role is to give them a safety net. And as young persons, it is their role to explore as much as they can, whatever they can become. So for those of you who are having a doubt whether I should take up a job, I say it's perfectly all right. People have taken up jobs. Sometimes they have been well settled. People have taken a job and after 2 years they have become more mature, and now probably they are much more serious with respect to the wise utilization of their time, and they have cleared the examination. As far as this story, I could have told her, either you win or, quit. This is how it ended up for this candidate. It has been a big struggle. Not that I recommend such a long journey, but this is the candidate. I was just trying to map the candidate in the student information management system. I put her username and this is what I got. The story of struggle, which most of you would see as a story of success. So if any of you have this feeling that, how success looks like, it probably is a struggle. I can tell you that these programs are intensive. They require much more hard work on the part of the student than even the teacher, most of them. And there was a point when I would meet such students and I feel that they are not the brightest. There are so many brighter kids. And there was a feeling inside you that you tell them that there are brighter kids, why are you trying so hard? But then when somebody goes through all the torture, then you know that somewhere something bright may happen. Also, you see one more quality, and that quality is patience. I'm not talking about perseverance, I'm talking about patience. Perseverance is your ability to keep doing things despite odds. This is what a picture of perseverance, that no matter what happens, you still have faith in yourself or your academic partners or your teachers and mentors, you are still doing it. But patience is when I look at your copy, I know that you are not in a hurry. Some people put the cart before the horse. When I read your answers, when I look at your copy, I know that you are not in a hurry. to just put all the points you have memorized or all the points you can relect without having your answers or content aligned to the demand of the question. Nor would her copy be there. And frankly, what most of you see as success stories, I see them as huge. You can take a look at another, because somebody had tagged me sometime, iska bhi 2 panne ka hai, but this candidate has this year ranked 21. And you will know them as success stories all over YouTube channels. I saw his good videos on Civils Daily myself, never on ForumIAS. I'm not sure why. But this is how his journey would be. कि धीरे धीरे घिस घिस कर कहीं से कुछ कुछ करके, कभी फॉरेस्ट, कभी सिविल्स, कभी ये, कभी वो करके 2024 अपना 21 रैंक. So this is how, and this is something that is probably hidden not among the students of Rajendra Nagar, but it is hidden maybe among the teachers who are there, who know that how students are doing. Because for the students it's always looks like that the student is clearing the exam, sitting in the library watching some random talk, and then he clears it. So that also happens. Right, we had this candidate this year, uske pehle course ka hi tha yahan par, but I have hidden that, hai na. So why we took sessions, and why this candidate, for example, this year this is rank 1 of last year. Now why would I just say khub acha karo? The point is, this candidate, I would meet her after 4 prelims failure, and then during the interview phase there is a strong feeling that if the student is somehow able to sustain themselves. So the question was whether they should go back home to Allahabad or they should stick to Delhi or in a place where there are people studying. There are 2 ways you could answer that question. One is what I call an advice that is popular, make it sound easy. You tell them what they want to hear, and that is go back home, nothing is there. And if you tell them to stay, then what happens? You are stressed. I mean, you do not have a good support system here. The family is missing. It's financially stressful to be in a situation like this, which is why, if you don't have a job, you tell them, you go to some other place, but you study here, but you go to some other place. You take guidance here, but you go to some other places. The point of saying this is that that the right advice is not the easy one. That is, no, feel comfortable, go back to Allahabad and go back to Prayagraj and do what you like. The tough call is to make sure that you are in the heat. You are in the place where there is a heat. We are the place where it's difficult to sustain and survive. And I'm not alone in this conviction. I had gone to Chennai around 2 or 3 years back, and I happened to meet the DCP, a senior IPS officer there. So I went there and I met some of the students there, and I was very happy to see that it's not all chaotic like it is here. Not that I enjoy it, not that I enjoy the chaos of the Rajendra Nagar or Karol Bagh. There is a limit to it. But so these people came and they said, sir, it's these all people in Chennai, and all of these people, and this IPS officer is there. I mean, he's way back senior IPS, as in 2009-10 batch. So he's there, and without the air of an IPS officer in North India, very humble, very down to earth, gets down from his vehicle wearing slippers, and he comes, we are having tea, and he joins all the aspirants. So the aspirants say, and they say, sir, it's very nice here. It's not like there is plenty of chaos and plenty of this. It's very nice here. We study, it's very comfortable in Chennai. Anna Nagar, I think that was the name of the place. And before I could say something, this man, Arvindhan, he saying, but probably that is what you need, which is why you go there, so that you want to get out of that place as early as possible. Here probably you will be living in Anna Nagar and in Chennai for a very long time, because there is no chaos, there is no pressure, there is no even including any sort of pressure on you. You can live here for a very long time, but maybe in Karol Bagh, Rajendra Nagar, you cannot afford to live there for a long time. If you don't make it in the right time, you have to change the lanes from Rajendra Nagar to Karol Bagh to Patel Nagar to Shadipur, and Shadipur to Rajouri, because then if you're not. And that probably is something that you need, that pressure, right? Now, I'm not in for pressure. I'm supposed to tell you that don't take so much pressure. That is what I'm supposed to tell you. But what I've found is in these times where there are so many noises, it is very difficult to be true to one's own conscience and be true to what you tell people who do not know you versus what you tell a sibling. I often see, and I often want to tell all of you, that whenever you give an advice to someone or whenever you take an advice from someone, always have what is I call the sibling test of a good advice. By which I mean to say is, if you ask, shall I leave, shall I just quit? There are two tests. One advice is, of course, I say that no, you leave, you quit, you do whatever you like, you leave from here, go back home and slowly what I call fade into the oblivion. Right? That's how it happens. But that's not probably what you would say to a family member, to a sibling, to a cousin. To a cousin, you will say, do the whatever you can, but you have to get out of this successfully. Yeah. I'm not saying this as what advice I'll give. I'm also saying that whenever you are guiding someone, including a friend, and sometimes you're not in the best position to guide them because, well, two people in the same boat. They can't give them good advice. They can merely give them a consumer feedback. Saying Haldiram is bad. Right? You say a consumer feedback like Haldiram is bad because the waiter was rude to me. You write that on the internet. 5 people don't go to Haldiram. Whereas you yourself will go to Haldiram when you have to eat a vegetarian. Do you see a difference between a consumer advice versus a sibling advice? Do you see yes or no? Yes, sir. You could see that. Right? If you have a friend who's fallen sick, you say कि जाकर chemist से दवा ले ले. 4 दिन भी बुखार है तो भी. But if your chachi calls you saying that Sonu is sick, you will not take that risk. You will say बगल में गंगाराम है किसी डॉक्टर को दिखा ले. Why? Because that is not, you're not there to give a consumer advice to a relative or a cousin for whom you will be held accountable. Whereas that consumer advice you will give to whom? To a friend, because there is no accountability. And later you can always say, I only knew as much as you. You were in the same boat as me. But to a sibling, अच्छा चेरा भाई, चाचा का लड़का, ताऊ का लड़का, you can't give that stupid advice because then you know that if it doesn't work out, then somebody is going to hold you accountable for it. That makes all the difference. All right. I'll also look into why some of us, so I want to make it a little easy for you, saying that why some broad things without getting into the nitty-gritties of everything. If you have not qualified, now not qualified mains or not qualified prelims or not qualified civil services is a very broad and vague term. People who say that I tried for UPSC but did not qualify it, they come in various colors. Some don't qualify prelims for 6 attempts, some don't qualify mains, some don't qualify for the interview. There are different kinds of flavors that people come in, and you will see that in their thought process. You will see that in there. So if those of you, if not qualified mains and it was your first attempt, I would largely say you are absolved. First attempt, first mains. First mains, you are largely absolved. Most of the times in our first mains, while we do have certain benefits of, you know, having studied something, having it fresh in our mind, and we do benefit from in the mains examination. But sometimes what happens is that our preparation hasn't matured yet. Remember, in social sciences, there is a difference compared to mathematics. So in mathematics, what happens is I teach you percentage. Everybody knows percentage here. What is 50% of 50? 25. Most people know the answer. Did they revise it last night? They did not. So in maths and those subjects, you are taught something once. You only have a singular interpretation of it. I repeat, you have a singular interpretation of it. There is no upgradations and updations to that method. You remember it for life. But when you study social sciences, even a sentence that is said, its meaning changes with the passage of time. You truly understand the full essence of everything that you study, not probably right now, but maybe 2 years into the service, you will understand why everything was there, why everything was taught to you, which is why you will often see that IAS officers, young IAS officers, they will have a trouble being corrupt because they will remember every theory that has been taught to them. And when they will talk even 10 years into service, they will remember the syllabus. I talk to them often. They come here because we are at a metro station where anybody who comes to Delhi generally does come to this place. I see them often, and even 7 or 8 years down the lines of service, they remember the syllabus, the words of the syllabus, and the things that they have studied. And with that kind of teaching, it becomes very difficult to become like everyone else in the district. That's also comes with a challenge. They are unable to relate to other people because they end up being the highest, first among, not even equals. They are the first wherever they go. As the civil services examinations is supposed to, appointments at a leadership levels in the departments or wherever you go. So they do that. And sometimes what happens is your preparation has not matured yet, which means you need more time. I can say this with conviction because, I have said this multiple times. I had one student, very bright, I was not very keen on putting his video. So he was in his appearing year, as in he was finishing his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad when he appeared for the prelims, cleared it, and the mains examination. And then he got a 21st rank. So if you ever see his video, he's been answering questions, but I was sitting in the class so that I'm not in the camera, but I sat through his, 120 minutes lecture, whatever he said, so that I could benefit from the wisdom and the depth of this person's advice. And for some reason, when he cleared it the first time, I sent a message to one of my students, another bright girl from Stephens, and I asked her, Meenal, it took you nearly 3 or 4 years to clear this exam, and this person did it in the first attempt. Why do you think he was able to do? Not for mocking or not for questioning. I was just wanting to really know, because you were at one level where you're also from Stephens, you're not from any less college. And the other person is this who's he had cracked both his JE exam and CAT exam in his first attempt and comes to civil services and gets a top rank. And she said something wonderful, which I have several times echoed and said. She said, Ayush Sir, you have to see that while the finishing line is the same for all of us, but most of us have different starting points. I never cracked a competitive examination. It took me a lot of time to understand the kind of donkey work that may go into clearing this examination. Probably these people have lived in competitive colleges where everybody is cutthroat competition, where everybody is competing to get into the college, then everybody is competing in 3rd or 4th year to get a placement. And he has gone to a B school where there is a competition for entering into the B school. And there's a competition every day to do well and earn grades. And then in the place every day there's a competition if you're shining or not. I've never lived in that level of competitive environment. Mera seedha sada BA pass tha, and I was worried what I'll do if I don't get through civil services. That was all my worry was. What a wonderful revelation. What clarity of thought. How clear thinking. You are able to see your position much more respectfully. Of course, it becomes easier once you're into the service, because this young girl was 2 or 3 years in the service by that time. 2 years into service with a rank 35 in the IAS, whereas this person was 2 years junior. So after things pass, you are able to see and benefit from that. So those of you who it was your first mains examination, you were clearly advised to focus both on the 2-3 things. One was that reading the newspaper so that you're not afraid in case you get an interview call and even otherwise. The second was to ensure that if whatever you have the chinks in the armor, when I say chinks in the armor, I mean weak areas. You know what are the chinks in the armor? To fully appreciate this, you must have seen Maharana Pratap and all, where a lot of guards, all metallic. So if you have a sword, even if you have a sword, and only knights would get such armored clothing. The face is covered with ropes or strings made of iron. So even if you have a sword, you can't kill them. Only knights could afford such expensive attire when they went to fight. And having such an attire automatically ensured that you last longer in the battlefield, and also you're significant. You are a knight, which is why people would want to become knights, because once you have a knight, and your life is much safer than an ordinary soldier who can be killed by one stroke of a sword. But so the only way you can kill a knight who has an armor is when you see his joints, where his clothes are stitched or his armor is stitched. So probably the neck, and even that is got in maybe the side of the neck. So while you may have a very robust mains preparation, this is the point where you have to see chinks in the armor wherever you have weak areas, and you have to address that. That is the first thing I want to say. People with second, then another thing is people who have appeared for 2 mains and not cleared. few things you need to do. One is reflect if did you put any radical effort or was it business as usual? Because people do put radical effort. Sometimes the radical effort is because you were very process oriented, such as some of you may have done SFG for prelims. It's extremely rigorous. And therefore what I feel is if you've done it, it is a radical effort. You do not need to, if you will either quit or you will survive. If you survive, I believe 99% you'll clear it if you'll do well. And if it doesn't work out that year, then the next year definitely you clear it because you now understand. And the game is very simple. We try to make you competitive. We try to tell you that this is the level of competition. If you don't like it, you quit or you win. There is nothing like anything in between. The first is that if it was the second means, did you make radical efforts? Second is what I would also say, for nearly every topic, did you have some content? When I say some content, I need at least 5 to 7 points under each heading. 5 to 7 points under each heading. This is what I need. And please, I do not need anything beyond that. I do not need a lot of tremendous amount of value addition. We started with the idea of value addition sometime in 17-18 simply because we had a lot of people who were coming for rank improvement. And increasingly what we are seeing is a lot of students are not answering the question and they are worried about value addition. I am telling you, with zero value addition, if you just answer the question, you will get an interview call and probably make it to the list. Getting a top rank will be a mix of your effort at value addition and a bit of luck. In fact, a lot of luck, or at least a bit of luck, if not a lot of luck. But to get into the list, you should be having content. Then what you need to do, be over and above this, what is needed and what you should be, your overall strategy is practice a lot of questions plus read solutions. I'm confident even today that if you have mastered 2 years of MGP plus AWFG, because that is what I meet people, 2 years of MGP plus AWFG, you should be able to clear it. You have to master it. You have to know everything from it. Now my problem sometimes is that instead of doing this, first is instead of this people will do something else, or what they will do is they will do this and they will do 10 more things. Now do I have a problem? I don't have a problem. I'm not exactly worried about brand dilution, that somebody is doing this plus is doing 10 more things. I have often seen among my selected students, because they are too busy, they don't have time for much. So they probably only have done this thing and maybe a couple of classes they have taken because they want to put an extra effort. But apart from that, they have not done the 10 more things, because when somebody says that I have not done the 10 extra things, I know that he has done this thing very properly and therefore he'll be able to tell me what was the content given to him. Because nearly every question that is coming, at least nearly every question that is coming from static, we will be able to cover it in the past 2 years. If not this year, then the previous year we must have covered it. The only reason why we may not cover it this year is because there is a pressure on the team by some student, consumer student, who says this was in last year question, why you are asking it. It is being asked because we feel it can come this year, not because we want to repeat that question from past year. And if you are not doing that, then satisfy the consumer student, we will not do that, and sometimes we lose out. I have given several examples in previous talks about such questions. So if you are doing this, I'm still telling you the best way to clear the mains examination is 2-3 approaches. The first thing is, of course, short notes and not too much of it, the notes part. And increasingly, I'm seeing a lot of people are too worried about the notes. But more than that, if you have done a good Q&A practice and solved a large number of questions, not just solving questions, because solving questions does not take you anywhere. Solving questions simply ensures that what you know, you are able to express yourself better. This may have worked maybe 5 or 6 years back, but what also matters right now is not only should you have solved the questions, but you should have also read the solutions and you should have integrated it. I'm increasingly seeing, just before this session, 2 days in this class itself, I had called other students who had, and they were showing me XYZ coaching question. And I said, why are you doing that? Obviously, one reason was that it was being provided free to interview appeared students so that they can claim our ranks. I said, fine. The other reason was given, the question was ulta-sida question. So when ulta-sida questions are there, I'm able to better train myself to handle unpredictable question. The problem with that approach is that you have a ulta seedha question and you think that I'm knowing how to handle uncertain question. You're not realizing that you are not even having the answer to that question is also very ulta seedha, and there is nothing you are getting in that solution. I see all questions. We do enjoy some sort of thought leadership in at least, if not everything, then at least in the mains test series that we do. And I increasingly see that students have taken up a test series which is having a lot of ulta seedha question, just a play of words with no specific meaning. And the student thinks that I'm training myself to handle unexpected. The problem is that that's not how a competitive examination will be cracked. Competitive examinations are cracked because the predictable part of it you have sorted out. The predictable part of it you have sorted out, and the unpredictable part you are prepared for. Now what happens is most people are training for the unpredictable part. That won't cut it. I remember this very line. I often give this example of one of the students who, you know, for the change of his service, I mean, he got an IAS and a Northeast cadre. He wrote the exam again and he got IAS and UP cadre. So he came to give a talk at FRC, and the first line he said was, I believe that since you are here in this class, and I was impressed because he was knowing what is expected from him. You know, I mean, you have gotten a rank and then 3 years after your selection, you're being called. So you're not really very relevant to the examination process. And so first line he speaks was, I believe that since you are at Forum, the predictable and expected parts of the examination system have been taken care of. So I'm here to talk about how to handle with the unpredictable and the unexpected parts of the examination and how you can tackle it. Now this is what I'm trying to tell you. Those of you in your, forget Forum, I'm talking about your own preparation strategy. A lot of you are simply obsessed with a lot of value addition without getting into the core of the question. You are not knowing a lot of what, why, how. You are dying to write an example to get that extra marks and it is not working out. You are simply trying to write one example because you see a topper copy having done that, and the commission increasingly is penalizing where there are examples as a substitute for an argument, then it is being penalized. This is something that we already saw, which is why you will see that even with a topper copy, we are reluctant to release it, because what happens is the people following you will end up failing. Too many people following the same strategy end up failing, which is why you see that we recommend what is your strategy or your writing style. You go along that with deviations. Some deviation has to happen. There is nothing. It cannot be that everybody writes 10,000 examples in their copies and everybody gets, because the examiner there is frustrated thinking what I'm not getting the answer and I'm getting EG, double EG, EG, EG1, EG2, yahi mujhe mil raha hai. You'll see it increasingly. Then the next thing, so this and question and answer, I'm talking about the content. A lot of content, I'm telling you, you simplify it. What this year, in the past 2 years, what I have seen is a lot of students have been taught, or they are thinking that I first need to read some very bulky notes. And once I have written that bulky notes, then I will write the answer. And when I will write the answer, I will be able to get a question from there. I am telling you, the mains examination is not that predictable. By which forget mains examination, I'm telling you, your mains test series is not supposed to be that predictable. Which means that if you've been preparing about the development role of NGOs, I'm telling you, and you have prepared, I will frame a question on the unthinkable aspect, which should not be there in your notes. I'm not saying it is not there in your notes. I will look for a topic which is not in your notes. I will say that I will ask a question which should not be there in your notes. Maybe with NGOs, you prepared everything, and I will ask something at the intersection of non-governmental functioning versus government control, such as the FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulating Act, which almost works like a license to non-governmental organizations. I may add and dimension that the cancelling of FCRA as a tool for furthering national security concerns. When national security concerns are sometimes overlooked in the name of development or environmental concerns promoted by non-governmental organizations, for which we have a question also in this year. Right. So what I'm trying to say is don't have this monolithic approach that you will have one brilliant master notes, one ring to rule them all, and then once you have those master notes, you will answer. No, you will develop your aptitude by solving a question and having a wonderful solution to it. And if you do enough number of these and if you are able to assimilate it, slowly what will happen is now you may have a question, but what, sir, if I do 1,000 questions and they are brilliant solutions to it? And even then, if some questions definitely will come which I have no idea for. Is that a valid question? Yes or no? That's a valid question. Sir, you are saying that you do 2,000 questions, read their solutions and go. How about the questions that are not there? Very good. So 3 things I want to tell you here. First is that if you do 2,000 questions and if you read and assimilated the solution, first is the most basic fundamental core parts of the syllabus will be covered. Nobody is going to just ask you Tedha question. Everybody will first focus on the core basic question. So your basic notes will be done from there. The second thing which I want to say is that in the end, UPSC examination is a lot of thinking examination, which means that it could happen that I give the same thing to you in a notes, but unless you see it in a question format, you don't know where to apply that. I repeat, I have given you a list of criticisms of, for example, the National Human Rights Commission. I could say the National Human Rights Commission has the problem of selective blindness, or I give you selective blindness to states where the political party in power at the center enjoys power. There the National Human Rights Commission goes blind and exercises undue alacrity or alertness in opposition ruled states, and sometimes behaves like an anti-federal agency. I've said it to you these wonderful lines and it doesn't hit you. I've said to this and you saying कि ये क्यों ऐसा बोल रहे हैं? But when you get a question on the criticism of National Human Rights Commission and then you apply your mind and you've thought of all the criticism and then you have all those Lakshmi Khan type points that it does not have the power to make arrest or prosecute, it is merely recommending, all these things you get. And then when you read a solution which says that it is often used as a tool to further the interest of political parties in power at the union, there is undue haste as well as alertness and activism shown by the Human Rights Commission when it concerns states ruled by the opposition, and there is a selective silence when it concerns states that are ruled by the political party at the union, and this has been its criticism since inception, not in the current government. Now when you read that solution, now you probably are able to correlate to what you have reading in the newspaper. That something goes wrong in Andhra Pradesh or Karnataka, there is a problem, NHRC has a problem. But something may go wrong in Delhi today, the NHRC will be quiet. Because it is Delhi and the political party at the union and the state are the same. So what I'm trying to, these interlinkages you will develop and you will develop it with time. I'm increasingly seeing there is a quest for getting that 1-pager notes of 30 pages on one topic so that you read it. I'm telling you that is not how you will clear a competitive examination. Looking for those master notes with 30 pages having all the dimensions, primarily because all the dimensions are not relevant and they become less important with the passage of time. All those dimensions become less relevant, so you only need to know those dimensions which are currently relevant, currently in discourse, so that wahan se question banta hai. And third thing is, as the third reason is that all of you have cleared the prelims, yes or no? Yes, sir. Any of you were in SFG or something? Yes or no? Fairly good. Now tell me, you did SFG and will you recommend it? Yes, sir. Very good. Will you recommend it even if no question comes from there? Yes, sir. Why? Because what happens, bacha log, this is what I want you to remember. This is applicable in the prelims phase, in the mains phase, and in the interview phase. This is what I want to. You cleared the prelims even if 0 questions came from SFG. And I know that you will clear the prelims again if you do it properly, even if 0 questions are coming from SFG in the prelims test series. What is the reason? Because now you know how to cut the tree. You know how to do the fishing. You were not given fishes. You were knowing how to catch the fish. You developed aptitude, and that is irreplaceable skill. I repeat, it is not because you were given a notes from which all the question came. This class massively cleared the prelims because not that they knew on the answers, not that they had everything, not that every answer they came in the prelims test series. There will be convergence. but you did not get selected because questions from SFG were repeated as it is in the prelims. You got selected because you knew how to solve a question. You were a thinking animal. Every morning for 1 hour, you were applying your brain to the question. And when you apply your brain, your mind becomes receptive to those ideas. You were looking for that one fact or piece of knowledge that will help you answer that question. Similarly, for the mains examination, I tell you, please do not go for any master notes, any elaborate notes, any printed notes or bulky, which is having maximum value addition. They are of no use for the simple reason is your preparation has to be based on Q&A approach. You apply your mind to a question, read the solution, because at this juncture, you will be receptive to the points given in the solution. And that is your best way to make note. That is how people have done it so far, and that is how people will be doing it so far. Increasingly, I see students not writing tests, and what they are doing instead is looking for such sources and saying that, sir, first I need to read all those things. Whereas what you are reading, I'm sure you must have read so many things for the prelims exam, and when the question comes in UPSC, it is very different from what you have been reading. Similarly, in the mains examination, you have been reading static notes, whatnot. And when the question that is asked is very different, is very tangential, it makes you think. So therefore, you will have to develop that aptitude. And that aptitude you will develop through practice. Again, I'm saying this aptitude not only by writing answers, but by reading solutions and seeing where they fit in. And also by thinking. Sometimes it is a waste of time to write a lot of answers. Therefore, when you get a question, you start thinking, isme main kya likhunga? This is something that I will expect from you. Now, anyone with anything, any people who are not able to clear the examination even after attempts, दो तीन चीज देख लेना बच्चे. I think I have put it here. Why things will probably go wrong.
Sir.
Yes.
सर जब आंसर्स पढ़ते हैं, जो मॉडल आंसर्स होते हैं, उनको पढ़ के कई बार बहुत बार ऐसा लगता है कि ये तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा ऊपर की चीज़ें जो हमने बिल्कुल नहीं लिखी. आंसर फिर सारे को क्यूमुलेटिवली देख के ऐसा लगता है यार ये तो हम लिख ही नहीं पाएंगे.
Come again.
So like the answers that we write, the gap between the answers and the model answers is way too much. तो क्यूमुलेटिवली करके सारे आंसर्स कैसे लगता है यार मैं तो इसके आसपास भी कहीं नहीं हूँ. तो फिर तो मॉडल पे डाउन हो जाता है एंड वो लिख.
Wonderful question he asked, sir. After reading the solution, I feel that मेरा thought process तो कहीं पे भी इसके I'm nowhere able to think close. It is very high level, and therefore my moral code. I'm telling you, your feelings have no relevance to the exam. एग्जाम के लिए फीलिंग्स का क्या करना है कि तुम्हें फील कैसा होता है. आंसर में डिफरेंस है, एंड विच इज वाई वंस यू मेक इट द होल पर्पस. सी आई नो दैट वी कैन हैव मच हायर सब्सक्रिप्शंस if we, because everybody is doing it. Why things fail is, my whole concern is that Rajendra Nagar coachings, which were generally at the forefront, they will fall down to the level of sometimes edtech because they think that edtech is successful and we are not. An increasing fear in a lot of teachers here is that the way to do is you lower the content and make it 24999 and you start doing those things because you will have volume. Even if, don't forget, you can always buy the topper. You are an edtech funded company. You will have 80 crore investment or 500 crore valuation. That is the better way to proceed than to help people clear the examination. If you are coming to coaching, the goal is to raise you to the level of the examination. The goal is to raise you to the level of the examination. The goal is not for you. So what you can do about it is, once you get that and you feel that इसना नहीं है, उसके बाद उसको study करो ना, अध्ययन, study, which means that it will take you time to see and appreciate every point. And which is why when I say you, it will become a lot easier if you've been doing just one thing, and that is the newspaper. Because everything reading there, everything that is written there will be linked to what has been said in a newspaper. हाँ बोलो बच्चे.
Take a past year LGB paper. How should we approach doing this? Past year LGB paper 20 questions. So what should
There are, see, I will tell you what other people have done. They have taken papers, they have either snipping tool use करके सारे topics का एक साथ, two people have teamed up, they have taken एक साथ snipping tool करके, they have made a document and they have studied it topic wise, and then they have made short notes. गंदे 30 पन्ने में बोले कि सर पूरा GS2 का जूस है ना, ये मैंने 2 साल का निकाल लिया है, इसके बाहर क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा, या आएगा तो मैं इसी से आंसर लिखूंगा. That is what they have done using a snipping tool. No, that is attempting you do for the next year. But पुराना पिछले साल का जो भी पेपर है उसको आप कर लो. more than anywhere between 50 to 60% of the ideas that you'll be there. Uske baad you will get a launch pad. You will be able to spring from there. If you don't have that launch pad, then there'll be a problem. All right. So, young man, I forgot your name. What's your name? Shivam. Yes, Shivam. So one is that you may have that feeling, but what happens is, what I have seen is, if you just keep showing up, keep doing it, forget about your feelings. I'm telling you, from 22nd of December, SFG will start. It is going to be horrible for those who have never done it. मतलब उनको लगेगा कि उनकी लाइफ खराब है. And I'm not talking about anybody, not. I'm talking about the first time we did SFG, I had a student, Indian Foreign Service, rank 27. And he said कि sir मुझे नहीं लग, I'm from a Delhi, उसमें DC हुआ करता था, DTU, whatever, I think DTU it is the name. And he said, sir, I don't get good marks and I feel terribly bad about himself, or I'm bad. And he did not clear prelims that year. But the truth is that his preparation was not adequate. Not that he had not cleared it before. He had cleared it before and not. He had not cleared it before. He came and wrote. He did not fare well. He was not doing well simply because the preparation level was not as much. But after that, he understood what needs to be done. And after that, he cleared. Once he cleared it, he got a good rank. So I'm not going to say competition will always look scary, but the whole game is to be the last man standing. In any game of life, कभी कॉलेज वॉलेज में कोई ड्रिंकिंग मैच भी कर लेना, तो लास्ट में क्या करना है, कैसे जीतोगे? टिक कर, नॉट बाय ड्रिंकिंग मोर. That's the wrong approach. By staying sane till the last moment. Game ये है. So you will face challenge when you read a solution. You may feel out of place. I'm telling you, the whole game is to stick. It is. ये game ही यही है कि जब difficulty आएगी तो कितने लोग टिकेंगे. Why else do you think we have built an organization with 300 people? With the same school and college qualification and number of attempts in UPSC with the equal, I'll tell you that in my organization, this organization, there are people whose pay gap will be 3 times. They have done the same degree from the same college. All right, what could possibly, it could be that I like one of them and I don't like the other person. Then why will I give somebody, why is somebody paid 3 times as much as somebody, though they have the same degree, they have a BTech degree, they're from the same college. बताओ क्या होगा? The value नहीं, लास्ट में क्या होगा ना बच्चे, resilience का गेम होगा. मतलब मुझे पता है कि tomorrow somebody, for example, you know the front page advertisements that you see. So you know the whole, it will take, so as in big players, they have plenty of money, so they don't be innovative. But if I have to be innovative with that advertisement, it will cost as much as it will cost a small car. The cost of that advertisement is like buying a small car for myself. So what will happen? The one person who is at 1/3 the pay scale, uske kaan waan garm ho jayenge 4 घंटे 5 घंटे on simply deciding what is to be written. He won't be able to stretch because his ear will get hot. He will say, sir, I can't sit on a single document for so long. There will be somebody who will be sitting till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. and till 12 a.m. and doing that. This is something that you will have to develop. When you are struggling to do it and you feel hopeless, see, nearly everyone will be in that situation. Why do you think that somebody, आप तो फिर भी मेंस लिखे, मैं आपको इसका statements I'm sending you, who's saying that my eyes are swollen because I've done SFG and maybe I've not cleared it. It was the first time she was doing SFG 3 levels and I've not cleared it. And I'm showing what happened. So it's not कि आपसे ज़्यादा तेज होंगे, ये rank 4 हैं. तो आपसे तेज तो नहीं है ये. टॉर्चर तो उनका, और उन्होंने नहीं किया है क्या? इन्होंने नहीं किया है. मतलब लास्ट क्लास में मुझे पता है कि 15 जून को उनको जब पेपर था 27 अगस्त को, तो 15 जून वाले बैच में 27 अगस्त को मैंने बोला चुपचाप आकर क्लास में बैठो, और बैठा भी था. ठीक है, 2022 का तो किया तो है. सो डू यू नॉट सी दैट दे प्रॉब्ली हैड टर्न अप बिकॉज दे न्यू कि दे मे नॉट हैव बीन द ब्राइटेस्ट. They may not have, but they knew one thing, that I will be the most resilient. So you may have this feeling that I'm not, but then with those comforts, you will become, you may end up clearing lower subordinate examination. But here is the fight for the best. Means I fully appreciate your position, which a lot of students will be having, is, sir, when I read the solution, I feel out of place. Now, what do you do when you're going through hell? Imagine yourself, Shivam, going through hell. What do you do when you're going through hell? You build a home there for save yourself? No. Then what happens if you build a home there and you live in hell? So what's the correct answer? If you're going through hell, keep going. Why is it said? So if the torture is happening, you will feel that the torture will become less by doing what? By probably reading a master notes of 30 pages, and probably, no, it won't happen like that. It will help you get a sense of direction, I'm not denying that, but it will not be able to match the solution. The whole game is to take you a notch level up. Out of top 10 rankers, 7 or 8 will be doing that. What is our expectation? That you get the next rank one. Isn't it, with that expectation? Or we can try to increase the number of subscribers by doing what? Usko aur आसान कर दे, मजे में कर दे, इतना simplify. So that is always a decision that we have to take every year. And someday I'm afraid that a day will come when we'll take that decision that let us have 15-20,000 subscribers, let us lower the quality, because everyone is doing it. That always happen. मैं ethics में पढ़ाता भी हूँ कि when people go wrong, why? Because people feel that if everyone is doing it, why should we not do it? It's always the better, easier, more profitable thing to do. But you will have to raise your level, because you are going to compete for a place, and when you'll aim for a first, second, third or fifth rank, maybe you'll end up with a 30, 40, maybe under a 150, 200. And also that student who will be joining it, you will have Ria. She already has a rank, and now she is coming for a rank improvement. She needs a 440, 450 plus, or maybe a 200 plus score. With it this year 22 rank, right? Ria Sani is there. So you will have people like that. You will have Bankesh rank 15, already in the Indian Police Service. He has 440 marks. He will, if you are not happy, he will not come again. Then he will say, kuch aur karke dekhta hu. The only reason you will see him, and probably these people will not come by any marketing activities. They have done it, and that is why they'll stick to it. So that is my purpose. You will have to work on raising your levels. I also want to tell you, I think some pages, yes. One is that immature preparation, that will happen. I've talked about it. Then optional issues working, but not for you. Now, some students have also mailed that, should we change our optional? You need to change your optionals on certain criteria there. The first criteria is that you're not able to score and you've done everything about it. I repeat, you are not able to score and you have done everything about it. Then that makes a perfect case. And it should not be the case that you are, always thinking, what is the term use? You have invested heavily in it and now sunken cost fallacy. That so much of your time effort has gone. So therefore, like the song of the swan, you should not fade into the oblivion. No, people have taken a strong step in their 5th attempt. People have taken a strong, even in their 6th attempt. तो एक चीज याद रखना जीवन में, जिसको जो करना है ना वो कर लेता है, जिसको जो चाहिए वो निकाल लेता है. What you want to do, जिसको, if you are committed to doing something, you will do it. If you want to get out of something, you will. Think of it. Mankind is extracting from thousands of meters below the surface of the earth. We are able to extract oil so that we can light a lamp. And this is in modern technology. It has been doing for hundreds of years. Right? So जिसको जो करना है ना, or hundreds of feet below the ground, we extract water so that we can drink and make life easy for us. So इससे बड़े काम हम लोग कर चुके हैं. तो आपको जो करना है अंत में आप वो कर लोगे. डिपेंड ये करता है on 2 things. One is the strength of your desire, how deeply you want it, and the second is the strength of your character. Which means कि once you decide to do something, how strong are you resolved? The strength of character is simply that there will be a person who will come and say, sir, I get mails every time, so I'll get a mail that I'll study 14 hours a day. I'll get a mail, I'm willing to do anything, I'll study 14, 15 hours. You make him sit for a class for 8 hours, वो नहीं बैठ पाएगा. 8 hours छोड़ो, 4 hours में उसको बैकएक हो जाएगी, क्योंकि स्पाइन उसने बैठा ही नहीं है. वो नॉर्मल यूट्यूब पर 1 आध घंटा 40 मिनट एंटरटेनमेंट देख लेगा, लेकिन 3-4 घंटे में, मतलब older teacher will stand for 8 hours, but he cannot sit for 3-4 hours. And what will be in the mail? Sir, I'm willing to put in 14 to 18 hours. मैंने कहा भी नहीं है कि 14-18 घंटे पढ़ने हैं. और वो भी है ना, पढ़ना पड़ता है कुछ दिन में, लेकिन 14-18 घंटे मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ. ये सब बोगस बातें इंटरनेट के लिए है. In the real world, you will be more real. You have to just do better than what the top performing people in your group or in your this are doing. So one reason is when you have done everything. The second reason is the optional is not delivering. A lot of people have delayed. For example, the marks in that optional are not coming. That is the point. I don't think any optional is currently being a very good result. Anthropology was one, and sociology was a safe optional. PSIR has been consistent, what I feel. How is philosophy? Any philosophy optional students? That itself will explain ki the optional is doing well or not. Anthro, how many? Raise hands. Socio? All right. PSIR? तो इसका मतलब इससे ठीक ठीक चल रहा है अभी. The third is that the option is delivering. People are getting good marks, but not for you. Means people have gotten marks, but twice you have not been able. Anthro is working for everyone, but it's not working for you. Both the times you've gotten 210 and 220. My expectation is that at Forum, when you're coming, you expect try to score 450 plus, and in optional somewhere 250 number तक अपना यहाँ पर secure करो, and 450 plus is what we are expecting. We are not expecting a 299 score or a 300 score. But what we think is with a 450 plus in GS, if you are able to do that, you should be sorted, even if थोड़ा कम है optional में. In other places also will make up. Then another reason to change your optional. So these are the reasons you should be changing your optional. Baki, this is another reason not able to devote time because of optional. So some people, now I often say that if you have chosen an option such as chemistry, mathematics or physics, then one assurance that you should be having that I'm getting close to 300 marks, because your selection will depend on getting this score. So we had students, for example, in the residential coaching, we had students with maths optional, with physics optional. I'm always worried about them. Why? Because I know their selection will happen when they'll get cross 300. And my strategy was try to make them get a 450 plus score. But what will happen? The problem, I will not accept them also in the program. Why? Because the problem is he will not study, so how he will get 450? And then you do two mistakes. You're not getting 300, or maybe when, if you're not getting more than 270 or 280 in such a big optional, such as electrical engineering or chemistry or any of the sciences optional or a mathematics, and here also you're getting something in 300, then you're gone. Then there is a problem. Then you either you leave this and you at least focus here, because maybe if you have the capacity of only getting 250 plus in your social sciences optional, then probably they try to get that 450 plus marks here. But इसको छोड़ के यहाँ पे 450 को छोड़ के there you are focusing, and then you are getting, sir, I'm getting 210. Then there's no problem. Why? Why? Now you may say, sir, what is the problem? You are saying that if somebody gets, somebody with a 210 marks in anthro is not the same way somebody getting 210 mark in mathematics. Why? Because yes, because for that 210 marks in mathematics, he will have given nearly 10 months, and maybe 2 years he must have given 10 months. Then he is getting that. With an anthro 210 marks, मतलब ये कुछ महीने पढ़ के शायद उसी साल पहली बार मेंस में पढ़ के शायद वो 200 प्लस इसको मिल गया होगा. So there is a difference between all 200s are not the same. Some 200s are worse than other 200s. Isn't it? Next, one more thing is, this does not concern here, but in other groups, what happens is increasingly, this is all for people with 2+ mains attempt. What happens is you have one big problem, and that is groupthink. Now what happens is that we'll generally be the average of 5 people we meet. I can tell you a bit of my story in Forum story, that Forum did very well as a community when we started, for the simple reason that when I leaving a job at a tech sector, when I wrote my first examination, I cleared the prelims. And I cleared because somebody had told me the right books. Once I did that, I made sure that anybody who's following the website clears it. So we had a lot of successful candidates. Every year we would get out of top 10, 7 or 8 would be from the Forum website. And even where we lived, among my friend circle, barring one person who was in the Indian Police Service, everybody got into the Indian Administrative Service. I would take some credit for it, for the simple reason is that as long as I was a part of that group, I made sure that after the prelims exam, for everyone is studying for the mains, I was the value setter of the group, and after the mains examination, we would not study. And when I did not get through my first interview, I didn't know what to do. being the thought leader of my group, what happened is everybody else cleared the interview. I mean, cleared in that attempt, and I did not. I knew one thing, and that was how to do better every year, even if the pattern changes in 2011 or 13. I knew how to clear the prelims, which is why everybody else would also do. But nobody in the interview, nobody in the group knew how to, what to do for the interview process. And that is where, because there was no better one, anyone better doing, so therefore I did not know. So I thought it was just a Russian roulette. You have to keep appearing for interviews every year. I knew this for the mains, what is to be done. And people were there who got revenue and then got IAS, and there were a bunch of 5 or 6 people, barring one person who's in the Indian Police Service, and me, who later decided not to write my 2 attempts. Everybody else got IAS, koi revenue or isme bhi nahi gaya. And so therefore, sometimes what will happen is, and when we left the place, nobody cleared the exam from that building in first block ever. Because once we left, in the winters, people would play poker. As long as I was there, I would not let it happen. They would enjoy some card game. उस समय वही चलता था, अब तो बहुत कुछ आ गया है ना? So that would not happen. My purpose of telling you this is that what will happen in your stages, if you are stuck in prelims, you will be with a bunch of people who are saying तेरा बहुत अच्छा जा रहा है, you will be stuck. Until you upgrade to a group which is continuously doing well in the mains. And in the mains examination, if you're stuck, you will have friends who are saying your essay is very good, your effort is very good. Today morning itself, I spoke to 2 students, and one of them, he came to me, he said, sir, I want to speak to you privately. And then he confessed, sir, actually what happened is, from his group, there were some people who had broken off and they have gotten an interview call. He said, sir, this time I was with this person, one of my friends, and he used to keep praising me during the interview. Sir, actually मैंने AWG MGP किया, लेकिन मैंने टेस्ट इस बार नहीं लिखे. I was a little casual. I said, why would you do that? He said, sir, my friend and he was also not writing and we were also not writing. So what happened? It became normal for us to do it. And this will happen not, there is a normalization of, and this will be happening because of your peer group, or you will have an example of one person who has put less effort and has gotten it. There always will be one person whom you know who has put less effort than you and gotten it. Do you know such persons? I'm telling you, in these matters, remember that line said by Apala Mishra, rank 9. She said, choose your role models. And you need to have this clarity that exam will be cleared by 2 things. Either मेहनत और किस्मत. ये मैंने पहले भी बोला है. तो अगर तुम्हारा इससे होना था, तो ये लिटिल पिटी पार्टी जो हो रही है हमारी, how bad we are, how we have failed in life, these meetings that we are having, we would not be here अगर तुम्हारा यहाँ से होना था. तो तुम्हारा शायद होना है यहाँ से, और वो तुमको करना पड़ेगा until you have fulfilled that quota. And you may feel that, sir, I'm putting extra effort, but no. I mean, there was a moment where I was driving back from work. I called one student from 2013, not a student, but he was on forum. He had gotten rank 1. All right. So I asked him, Gaurav, first I said, you have been winning everything. You are doing very well. He said, nahi yaar, why are you? And I said that, Gaurav, how did you ensure? He was Gaurav Agrawal, rank 1 of 2013 batch. He said, Ayush, I said, how do you win? I mean, where do you bring the 10th through? Or I understand that getting a rank 1 is a lot of matter of luck and everything keep aside, but there must be something you may have that makes you this lucky. Right? One is we are lucky. Second is there's something in us that makes us lucky. वो कुछ ताबीज वाबीज भी हो सकता है, but for that I did not see any ताबीज अंगूठी उनके हाथ में. तो मैंने उनसे पूछा, and he said beautifully, Ayush, one thing is there that if I'm not able to achieve something, then I write it down and I realize that with this effort I will not be able to do it. With this effort I will not be able to. That was a big thing for me. Why? 2 things were there. First is that this language makes a lot of difference. He did not say, I will not be able to do it. What did he say? With this effort, I will not be able to do it. What a $1 million piece of advice. And it was deja vu for me because just 2 days back, I was taking a Google Meet interview with Aditya Srivastav, rank 1 of 2023. And if you hear me, if you want to just validate it, उस interview को सुन लेना. So he said exactly the same thing. So Aditya, I understand that you may be lucky to get rank 1, but you must be having something like, so what do you think, what is the one quality that you have which you think that other people did not have? In your college, maybe in the National Police Academy, your friends also don't have. So first he said, sir, nothing like that, I just got till beat. Then I said, no, any one thing which you think is your strong quality. And he exactly said the same thing. Sir, I have been a sports person. And if I cannot achieve something, then I realize that is effort se ye nahi hoga. Then I lock myself up and start increasing the effort. And these exact same lines 2 days later, while driving back from work, I'm hearing from another person. So I said, but Gaurav, don't you think? He said, yes. Before I could complete, he says, yes. For that, you have to be extra. I'm very brutally honest with myself. फिर मैं है ना ये सब छोटे मोटे बहाने नहीं करता हूँ कि ये हो गया था, this was my constraint, that was my constraint. Then I lock myself and then I do what is needed to demolish my target. Then I only focus on that. मैं सब कुछ छोड़ देता हूँ भाई. मैं सब कुछ छोड़कर एक काम करता हूँ, लेकिन उसमें फिर मैं उसको क्लियर करता हूँ. What a wonderful piece of advice. All right. So make sure that for all of you, those who are concerned about it, कि आपको क्या करना है क्लियरली. ये वाली आग अगर यहां रहता होता तो कल वाली 4 PM मीट में होते. कल भी था. ये नहीं है हमारा यहां है तो हम इसी में करेंगे. एंड रिमेंबर द लिस्ट इज, है ना, नेवर फाइनल until it is final. Never be envious of the people who were in the yesterday's meet until the list is final. There have been people who have cleared this exam in 4th attempt, gotten a certain service. Friends have been left behind. 3 years later, the other friends gets Indian administrative service and he climbs on top of everyone. तो लाइफ की ये रेस है ना, ये लगातार रहेगी. And every topper list is revived every 7 years. I'm sure some of you would be toppers of your school. 10th class के कुछ टॉपर हैं यहाँ पर, 10 CGPA 9 CGPA वाले. Yes or anyone हैं? कुछ raise your hands. अभी फेलियर टाइप फील हो रहा होगा. तो 7-1 साल बाद फिर से लिस्ट रिवाइज होगी. अभी के विनर्स, the winners of today will be the losers of tomorrow unless they are running every day. है ना, you may be the winners and the celebrated alumni of your school and you don't want to go back to school for you have nothing to show for except for a few gray hair and bald patches sometimes, you know. Then another is that this is something that you need to worry about, skill set mismatch between prelims and mains. I am often worried about some students who become extremely good with prelims, is that they are like, you know, what the Joker said in The Dark Knight, that I'm like a dog chasing cards. I do not know what to do if I caught one. So some of you have gotten into the habit of chasing a prelims 130 plus score because it gives you respect, temporary respect in the little library of prelims not cleared aspirants that you have built around yourself, जो आपकी जय जयकार करते हैं क्योंकि आपका prelims क्लियर हो गया है. और वो ऐसा किक देता है कि मेंस भी याद नहीं रहता है. जब मेंस का रिजल्ट आता है तब याद आता है कि अच्छा ये भी करना था. तो ऐसे जय जयकार से बचें, है ना, और ऐसे बच्चों से बचें. Make sure that prelims requires different skill sets. If you're good with prelims, getting a 135 score, it has no bearing on your main skill sets. If you're not working on the skill sets that are needed for the mains examination, and that is your ability to read a lot of documents and summarily say that what are the 5 things that I took home from this. This is the ability you need. Prelims mein, you don't have to remember everything, but you have to recall, you have to probably remember logical truths values, which means kya ye sahi hai ya kya ye galat hai. That is all that you need to know. Whereas here there is a massive, I often say that prelims mein you need to do as many revisions as possible. Do you agree to this? The more you revise, the better you will get at prelims. In the mains examination, the whole skill set changes to the recall. Revision is a different skill set, recall is a different skill set. I'm not asking you that which of the following options the officer has behaved with integrity. It's easy. You'll be able to answer it. I'll tell me 5 ways where officers display the quality of integrity. And you'll probably have to recall that when there is a conflict between self-interest and official duty can be one case. Then when there's a conflict between official order and self-interest, right? There will be 3 or 4 such things. You have to recall these things. They are given in your notes. And it is not asked that is this true or false. You have to recall those points as it is. Just like in yesterday's class, in the interview, it will a lot become about reflection. उसमें सोचना and सोचने के ही पैसे होंगे, right? Then this is something that skill set you'll have to work on. Then writing issues. Please make sure that a lot of you will be stuck if you have anything which has a readability issue, which means if I'm not able to read your copy by scanning through it vertically, then I won't give you marks, or I will give you average marks. Now you say, sir, I've seen a topper copy which is crappy, and still he's a topper. First, he will not be a topper, not a top ranker. And second is that this does not mean that if you have handwriting issues, you will not make it. What I mean to say is if you are a top ranker, you will be getting a medium rank. If you are a medium ranker, then you'll be getting the list bottom of the list. And if you are supposed to make it to the list, you'll not be there in the list itself. Make sure that you take this very seriously, because, and again, you may feel that, sir, this is a problem. Unless you have done it, you will feel it is impossible. Please make sure on your writing legibility as well as your speed. People have been there who have worked on these aspects and they have improved upon it. And also don't take any input from somebody who doesn't have this problem. I repeat, don't take any input from somebody who doesn't have this problem, for the simple reason is that anybody who's brilliant with CSAT here, who thinks is good, like number aate hain. Now anybody who thinks who's bad with CSAT, बोल दो, struggle हो जाता है थोड़ा. Now he comes to me and says कि CSAT में ये कर लो, वो कर लो, 2 घंटे रोज दे देना, एक क्लास कर लेना. Now my advice will be, he goes to Mitansh. What do you think Mitansh will say? अरे prelims CSAT तो क्वालिफाइंग इन नेचर, 66 लाना है, हो जाता है, और कह देगा गधे का भी हो जाता है. ये कह देगा. Now do you see what will be the impact? I'm telling you, I have seen people clear this examination. हिंदी माध्यम में मैं कई बार एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. हिंदी माध्यम के ऐसे बच्चे रहे हैं. एक ऋचा रत्नम बच्ची थी, she wanted to come and do from English medium. She was a Hindi medium student. So she would write MGP का कोई हिंदी में solution नहीं होता था. She knew she had to write, so she used to read and question was also not translated. She would write the answers in Hindi, come to me for correction. She would attend classes here in English medium, then translate in Hindi, and she, that year I think with her 240 rank, she was the first topper of Hindi medium, or maybe the second topper of Hindi medium. There are also people who have been in top 100 ranks. They have been struggling with, for example, Hindi medium itself. And then they have brought बिल्कुल डिक्शनरी लाकर, है ना, हिंदी टू इंग्लिश डिक्शनरी लाकर अंग्रेजी सीख कर उन्होंने एग्जाम क्लियर किया है. ऐसे लोग हैं. And so similarly, when you are thinking that ये problem, because the minute I say this, I see the crowd face change कि सर ये तो स्कूल में होना था, अभी नहीं होगा, लेकिन लोगों ने किया है. ये बहुत बच्चे हैं. अगर आपको लगता है, प्लीज टेक एक्सपर्ट हेल्प. इट इज नॉट, इफ यू कम टू मी, आई विल से दैट व्हाट, आई विल से यू प्रैक्टिस मोर. व्हाई? बिकॉज आई एम नॉट ए हैंडराइटिंग expert, but somebody who will know, he will know better, he will tell you how to improve your handwriting plus speed. If you have that problem, please fix it, otherwise that will become a limiting factor. Then lastly is that some people take a long time in the mains or in the UPSC process because they do not have one quality, and that is patience. Remember, patience is one of the essential qualities for success in any walk of life. I see this impatience in a lot of people who just wants anyone to make them a promise, and they're willing to, they're just willing, they want anyone. And I know when I was coming for this class, a lot of people say that, sir, koi program launch kar dijiye, kuch ye kar dijiye. I have nothing to launch. I don't do any program launch in these meets. Kabhi nahi kiya na, abhi bhi karunga. Okay, but what I want is that please develop this quality of patience in yourself. Not just in the exam process. I'm not saying that you make it a 5-year exam. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that when I read your answer, I feel that somebody was patient enough in preparing for this topic. If it's a classical answer. Answer पढ़ने के बाद हमें पता चल जाता है कि the person did not have patience while preparing for this topic. How do you know when somebody doesn't have patience to prepare for a topic? इंट्रो में पॉइंट डाल. देखो, सबसे पहले क्या होगा ना, यू विल मीट, नॉट इन यूपीएससी फील्ड, यू विल मीट लेस पीपल सच, But just outside this field, because you will be immediately caught if you are that, but outside this field you will be having people who have not read the newspaper properly, और जैसे ही कोई headline पढ़ा they draw a conclusion. You speak to your friends in tech or any other fields, मतलब the minute he has read that a certain party has won election, without any due diligence, depending on his, he will say कि अरे ईवीएम हैक हो गया होगा, जिसको कहते हैं बिल्कुल लेवल 1 इन्फ्लुएंस ड्रॉ करना. ऑलवेज हैविंग अ लेवल 1 इन्फ्लुएंस. प्लीज डोंट बी दैट पर्सन. In every topic, every question, you will have to be a level 2 and level 3 thinker. What do I mean by level 1 thinker? Which means primarily they think, मतलब जो सबसे बेसिक जो रिक्शा वाला, छोले कुलचे वाला, ये सब जो गेस वर्क मारेंगे ना, वही गेस, उसके ऊपर आप सोच ही नहीं पा रहे हो. उसके ऊपर डेप्थ ऑफ पर्सनालिटी तैयारी में भी डेवलप नहीं कर पाए हो. I'll give one very small example. SFG में there is an entrance test. Why do you have an entrance test? बताओ. देखो, आउटसाइड अ स्मॉल वर्ल्ड सब कहेंगे सारा खेल 944 रुपीज का है. वो लेवल 1 है, वो रिक्शा वाला छोले कुलचे, उससे वही एक्सपेक्टेड है. एक बात बताओ, एसएफजी में हालत खराब हो जाती है कि नहीं, जिसने किया है. Now what will happen is you will hear from one rank holder that 5 साल नहीं निकला, मेरा हो गया. Imagine the amount of impulse subscription that will happen. It will happen, yes or no? Whereas we have hardly, हमारी capacity है उसमें. Physical classrooms are limited, and it is not that if we have more students, then it is not that there is no scalability in it. Physical, he will book all the offline seat because he is the first one. वो जून से एडमिशन लेकर दिसंबर में बैठा रहेगा, and he will say I paid the fee. I don't have seating capacity for him. Then what will happen? I will not, the genuine candidate, he is not able to get a seat. And then after that, I will get a mail that, sir, I have missed all my tests, or I cannot come at 7. Please allow me to come at 7:30. Now, some of you may see from that 7:30 perspective, मैं कैसा सोच रहा हूँ, ये 7 बजे आया है, सिंसियरली पेपर दे रहा है, 20 लोग इसके बीच में घुस के जा रहे हैं इसके बगल में बैठने 7:30 बजे. वो 7:30 बजे वाला बच्चा सिर्फ अपना सोच रहा है, उसकी इसके बारे में थॉट प्रोसेस है ही नहीं कि जो 7 बजे से बैठा हुआ है एंड यू आर ब्रशिंग पास्ट, प्लीज हटो, और ऐसे करके 4 लोग इंटरफेयर करने आ रहे हैं. मुझे इसकी दिक्कत ज़्यादा होती है कि लोग जो पहले छोड़ के जा रहे हैं वो डिस्टर्बेंस कॉज कर रहे हैं. मोर वरीड अबाउट दैट बिकॉज अ पीसफुल एग्जाम एनवायरमेंट इज नीडेड. तो इम्पल्स बाइंग में जहाँ 2000 बच्चे आने हैं, वहाँ क्या होगा, 5000 बच्चे लेंगे. उसके बाद क्या होगा, आई हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू राइट द टेस्ट, आई कुड नॉट वेक अप, सर्दी खांसी नजला जुकाम. यू क्रिएट बैरियर इन एवरी फेज ताकि वही बच्चा घुसे. तो मैं आपको झूठ नहीं बताता, टॉप 20 टॉप 100 में है ना, आपको 25-30 और इंडिफरेंट या 40 बच्चे आपको एसएफजी से मिलेंगे, लेकिन उसको कभी भी हाईलाइट नहीं करते. नहीं तो उसके कारण क्या होगा, फालतू की जनता घुस जाएगी. मतलब किसी को पता चल गया कि 30-40 लोग टॉप 100 में, हर तीसरा बच्चा टॉप 100 में एसएफजी करता है, आपको मिल जाएंगे. लबासना में आपको मिल जाएंगे. वहाँ से बच्चे आते हैं तो बोलते हैं सर हम लोग, मैं पूछा अरे हाउ डू यू नो, बोला कि सर एसएफजी में हम साथ में थे और लबासना में साथ में. मिल जाएंगे आपको. तो क्या होगा, पूरे बैरियर क्रिएट कर दो ताकि वही बंदे को मिले जो हु ट्रूली वांट्स इट. और नहीं तो फिर सर्दी खांसी नजला जुकाम सबकी जिम्मेदारी, वो फिर पेपर लेने आएगा. कब पेपर है, वो आएगा प्रीलिम्स के बाद पेपर लेने जुलाई में, कि एसएफजी लेवल 1 का सॉल्यूशन दे दो. यहां पर एक क्लैरिटी के साथ चल रहे, वी आर रनिंग इट. पॉपुलर प्रेशर में आके उसको ये नहीं करना है. व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज देयर कैन बी अ डीपर थॉट प्रोसेस. किसी भी चीज में थोड़ा सा है ना, प्लीज डोंट बी लेवल 1 थिंकर्स, है ना. आई ऑफन आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन दैट फॉर एग्जाम्पल इट इज दैट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन Western India, you have the problem of female feticide and infanticide. Though it is largely curbed right now, but yeah, 10 साल, 2 decades I know that this debate went on. But Western and these areas are supposed to be what? Are they poor? Western India? No. Punjab and Haryana. Haryana is where from which you measure income distance. Right? मतलब income distance वहाँ से measure की जाती है before making recommendation. So they are having patriarchy in the form of in female feticide and infanticide. And then suddenly Eastern UP and Bihar, which are supposed to be the poorer pockets, they don't have female feticide and infanticide. Now level 1 thinking will be that they do not have patriarchy itself, right? Level 1 thinking is कि Bihar and UP, Eastern UP don't have patriarchy. Why? They don't have the problem of female feticide infant. But that is not what is expected from a UPSC, not UPSC, but a policy maker, probably, I'll say. Then what will happen? The question will be, it will be manifesting itself very differently. How does patriarchy manifest itself differently in Eastern India? Huh? Yes? Huh? No, domestic violence, I would not say that it is more in Eastern India versus Western India. Maybe domestic violence, maybe cases may be more in West India itself. So there you have the problem of the unwanted girl child, which means while they do not kill the fetus or the female girl child, the problem will be that they have 3 sisters and 1 younger brother, 2 sisters and younger, 4 sisters and 1 younger brother. They keep having children until a son is born. This is what, this is or what is called the meta-son preference. Do you get this? Now level 1 में सीधे क्या कर दिया? Tick मार दिया. Yes, there is no patriarchy in Eastern India and Western Indian states are much more patriarchal. यही मैं कह रहा हूँ, level 1 thinking और level 2 thinking का difference रखो. This is what you will need to clear the examination finally. I asked this question yesterday, and you may have. I was interviewing this very good candidate. Her name is Hunar Cooler. I remember her unique name. She's got an IAS, I think, मिल गया है. Last year, I asked a wonderful question. I asked, not a wonderful question, but she gave a wonderful answer. अपनी तारीफ नहीं करनी है. So I asked. She was from Haryana, and I asked that why is Gurugram likely to benefit more, or why is Gurugram likely to develop more or attract more MNCs compared to UP's Noida? I repeat, why Gurugram, a part of NCR, is likely to attract MNCs more than UP's Noida? Haryana's Gurugram versus UP's Noida. She was from Haryana. I asked this question. Tell me what could be the reason? Think of it. Domestic labor supply is?
Willingness is more in UP where it is more supply or not.
No, she's saying that willingness for the labor to work is more there in Haryana. No, Haryana is a rich state. Nobody will work. Migrant laborers will only work. Let us be very clear. Haryana mein Manrega does not work. There is nobody saying that I will. Huh? No, even in private sector, that's not the case. Bolo. Now what happens is very good. So he said कि UP has a law and order problem and Gurgaon does not. Now the person taking your interview is Principal Secretary UP government. Right? And according to him, you have been born maybe in late 90s or early 2000. You have not seen the world. But your predecessors have seen the world where there was Jungle Raj in UP at one point of time, and compared to that time, it is a paradise right now. But it was the case that in UP, if you go with a vehicle, somebody may kill you for stealing a Maruti car. Maruti छोड़ो, बाइक चुराने के लिए कोई गोली जान से मार सकता था. That was the case, and now those things don't happen. So for anyone coming from that world, it looks like a paradise. And this may conflict from you because you may have much high expectation. Bhai, this is not. You don't even factor in that something should be happening because you have not seen it happen. So it is a paradise from now. So that is not fairly. So you will have to be very careful. Ki sir, law and order, it's not. And also, if you see the data, then it will be difficult that whether law and order is bad in Noida versus Gurugram. The data also sometimes will not support it. So when you say something like that, you have to be very careful with the choice of words, saying that, sir, law and order perception of UP ki jagah, you may say law and order perception of UP or Noida still suffers because perception. No, but that, okay, fair enough. Anybody else? Now that is a generic answer, which means you can say that for any question that I ask. So that's not a good answer. You'll say, sir, government policies. I say, why is there corruption? You can also say government policies. For every answer, why this room is so crowded, it is government policies. So that's a very generic answer, which means that, what do I mean by when I say a generic answer? A generic answer is one where if you change the question, then also the content is valid, then it is a generic point. Yes? Very good. Now he has given some thought that Gurugram benefits from the airport, which is at the junction of Delhi and Gurugram. So therefore most people, नोएडा अभी जेवर में टाइम है या वो तो अभी कुछ Hindon airport is functional, but Noida does not as of now have an airport and has not been having it. UP people are getting angry कि सर हमारा भी जेवर आ रहा है, but as of now if you are there you have to cross all of Delhi and come to nearly Gurugram before you can board a flight. So a lot of MNC executives may want to come in and hop out on the same day. Very good, that's some thinking has gone into it. Anybody else? Now both Noida as well as Gurugram are attached like conjoined twins or siblings, you know, so therefore they both are they have a border touch Delhi, so it is not like that would be there. Yes,
So lifestyle of UP and Haryana.
Lifestyle of UP and Haryana, very racist remarks. Good that you are wearing a mask. He was prepared for it. Yes.
Build across DLF corporate thought process only. Noida was the
So she gave a very good answer and she said, you know, I think she must have scored well. I think. So he said that sir, Gurugram does not have the burden of a capital. Sorry, Haryana does not have the burden of a capital city. The capital city is a union's territory. So it is able to divert all its resources to the development of one city, that is Gurugram, which it sees as its semi-capital or a demi-capital. Fairly valid, isn't it? True or not? How about UP? While UP does have bigger resources given the state is very big, but two factors are there. One is has multiple cities to develop, whereas Haryana does not focus on other cities. Between Gurugram and Faridabad, it is settled with Gurugram. But in UP, there are too many cities. There is Noida, there is Greater Noida, there is Meerut, and there are 5 other cities which are on the western UP itself. And God forbid if a lot of resources are diverted for western UP in general and Noida in particular, the democratic pressure coming from the East UP, which has all the voter base and all the MLAs, that will not permit a democratic mandate to commit all the resources to the western UP or Noida. So there also the pressure will come. Despite having resources, you can't build Noida like, you know, as great as you can, and you can leave Banaras and Mughal Sarai and Jaunpur and Mirzapur, है ना, और इलाहाबाद इन पाताल लोक. वहाँ के भी एमएलए कहेंगे ना when जनता विलास की भाई उधर तो ऐसा, यहाँ ऐसा क्यों बनाया तुमने, तो he will say in the लोक ये संसद ये legislative assembly में तो he will shout. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you here is, बच्चा लोग please develop patience as well as a level to thinking. I am seeing and I'm seeing that increasingly what is happening is whenever you are asked a question, you are making the most pedestrian. By pedestrian I mean कि सबसे जो lowest level का thought process होता है वो आप लिख देते हो. In several copies I'm not seeing any depth of thought process कि भाई किसी ने सोचा भी है. Now you will, as I said before, now you will say कि sir how will develop it? I'll say this is also an aptitude. ये भी एक aptitude है. Just like you have cleared prelims and successfully done so, and you have done so not because questions I made you practice came in the exam. I'm telling you very clearly, it did not come and it will not come also. But what happened is you cleared it because you developed aptitude for the prelims examination. Same, you have to develop the aptitude for handling mains examination. Don't write prima facie things. Don't write prima facie की first appearance में जो लगा सबसे lowest level का जो argument होता है वही डाल दिया और उसको बिलीव किया, और उसके बाद यू आर नॉट विलिंग टू थिंक बिकॉज दिस इज व्हाट इज नोन एज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड द डेप्थ ऑफ योर पर्सनालिटी. सो व्हेन इट इज सेड दैट द डेप्थ ऑफ पर्सनालिटी विल बी असेस्ड, दिस इज व्हाट आई मीन. व्हेन आई से गुड़गांव व्हाई डज इट बेटर, तो एक लाइन का लिख दिया लॉ एंड ऑर्डर यूपी का खराब है इसलिए पीपल गो फॉर दिस. उसके ऊपर सोच, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट इज इनवैलिड, दैट हैज सर्टेन वैलिडिटी, बट उसके ऊपर का आप सोच नहीं रहे हो तो नहीं सोचोगे, और हमेशा गेम रखना सोचने का ही है. द पर्सन, द कलेक्टर देयर, ही विल बी नॉट सिटिंग एंड वर्किंग लाइक ए मैनियक. ही विल बी सिटिंग होल्डिंग हिज हेड एंड कंटिन्यूसली थिंकिंग बिकॉज ही हैज टू टेक 100 decisions every day. The position that you are applying for, you have to take 100 decisions. Everything will have a ramification on your job and other people also. And which is why you'll have to think, and for that thinking, it will not happen in Labasna, it will happen during your preparation phase. So all of you, those of you who think, एकदम जल्दी में मत रहो, रश में मत रहो. डोंट हैव इम्पेशंस इन व्हेन यू आर स्टडीइंग. ऑल्सो डोंट हैव इम्पेशंस In writing answers also उसको देखो, think of what is this is a prima facie problem, level 2 का problem क्या होगा, level 3 का problem क्या होगा. Right, I can say this depth of personality by mean I say what is the color of the wall. The prima facie answer is white. A second level answer can be depends on the color of the lights. Do you see? If I turn red lights on, the color of the wall will be red. I'm just trying to give you an example how you will, जो आपको solution मिल रहा है बच्चे, उसमें level 2 it is instruction is given. जब उसका review होता है तो हम कहते हैं बच्चे level जो answers लिख रहे हैं faculty को बोला जाता है please have level 2 and level 3 thinking of ForumIAS must be reflected. I understand you may have certain dissonance, लेकिन once you keep struggling with it, that is how everybody has done it. It is not the case you take any rank holder including several rank ones or single digit, they have not done well. But what they have done instead is they have struggled with it and they have survived. Once you survive the process, you are raising your level to that level. ठीक है? Going ahead, एक दो चीजें, those who are, I could give you a road map, है ना, what we can do. I could probably this is not come, but एक दो चीज जो है, take classes, take notes and work on fresh ideas. ये करो जितना कर सकते हो. Sometimes that idea will be presented to you, just like I gave you a single idea with the Gurugram. It will be written, but you will not understand it. And also, those of you who are stuck, please make fresh notes. People get stuck in 5 attempts, 5 interviews. Why? Because they know that these notes are good enough. I can tell you about myself कि इस note से interview call आना निश्चित है, लेकिन इसके ऊपर if somebody told, probably that could have done by me. This guidance was not available to me कि इस पर भी. And later when I see, I could clearly see that people are coming in the early years of forum itself. I could see people are writing fresh notes for the year. कि 40, 50, 60, 70 पन्ने के they have made the fresh notes from a new source, left a margin, and then added all the good points of their old notes. I'm telling the syllabus is so dynamic, the ideas are so dynamic that nearly on every topic new ideas will come. ये रहेगा हमेशा. On every topic you will have fresh and new ideas. They will continuously come. So please make fresh notes. And when you make notes, don't make it a big deal. See, note making is time taking, but then you will need the patience for it. And don't make notes for everything. You make notes 30, 40, 60 topics. ऐसे करके पूरे GS paper में 500, 700 topics पर you make notes, there is nothing left. And make sure when you do this, it should be the most rough notes. Exactly the notes that you had exactly before the mains exam, or the kind of notes जिसको तुम्हारे notes कोई और ना पढ़ पाए. जितना concise, जितना छोटा, as if you were, those notes should be so concise that you should be able to carry it in the exam hall, except that don't carry it. है ना? और ये वीडियो को काट के मत पोस्ट कर देना कि ये सिखाया जा रहा है यहाँ पर. ठीक है? So make these notes, have fresh ideas, make a fresh copy और धीरे. And last is, please don't overestimate. Now I know what will happen is, if I motivate you and if you are foolish, then there's a problem. You're now foolish as well as motivated. Big problem. इससे double harm हो जाता है. What will happen is, if with all the enthusiasm you go and you decide that I will finish all note making in 7. No, it's a time taking process. Write in your copy a line, which I have. Do not write down one line. Do not overestimate what you can do in one day. Do not overestimate what you can do in one day. Full stop. Do not underestimate what you can achieve in 3 months. Do not underestimate what you can achieve in 3 months. So I don't want any of you who are not happy with your own performance, and you know, और also एक चीज और समझो बच्चे. I was just 2 days back, I was at Farsi campus. There were 2 students. One of them had done the classes, so he said, "Sir, can I skip the class?" And I said, "Yes." Now, once I allowed him to skip a class, he makes 5 friends who are also skipping the class. And now everybody is probably, देखो, And once this happens, एक हफ्ते के बाद मैं पूछो why did you skip the class? The guy says कि sir actually I had my own plan. 2 weeks later when I say so I did not follow forum's plan. 2 weeks later when I see him completely wasted, I say how was the plan going? Sir forum का plan 2 हफ्ते पहले छोड़ दिया. मैं पूछूंगा अपना प्लान? वो सर 1 हफ्ते पहले छोड़ा है. अब कुछ नहीं कर रहे. I got this mail and this got me thinking, you know, there's been long time. This is an interview candidate, interview appeared candidate. She has taken a drop, है ना, not being able to put in through. ये अभी का ही है मेरे ख्याल से, कल की बात है. आज 17 है. Without a formal structure, only studying for 3-4 hours consistently, but feels there's a lot to be done. I don't want to miss the chance of clearing next year. I deserve a rank, but without classes and plans from ForumIAS like last year, it's very difficult for me. What I'm telling you is, please, if there is any plan that you're following, you either follow fully the forum's plan. You follow what is the forum's plan, or you follow your own plan. Now, what will happen is, you will come and you'll say, I'll follow this plan. The minute stress will come, you'll be the first to run away. जैसे ही हल्की सी तुमको कठिनाई होगी, जब तुम्हारा मसल फॉर्मेशन शुरू होगा. मसल कैसे फॉर्म होता है? प्रोटीन खाने से. जब मसल ब्रेक होता है तो मसल बनता है ना. हाउ डू यू बिल्ड मसल? इफ यू टेक लॉट ऑफ प्रोटीन एंड डोंट डू एक्सरसाइज, देन यू विल नॉट बिकम मस्कुलर. यू हैव टू, द एक्सरसाइज इज द मोर इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. इवन इफ द प्रोटीन इज नॉट देयर, समहाउ मसल विल फॉर्म. जस्ट लाइक a rickshaw puller is able to build a good muscle, or a physical daily wage laborer will have 6-pack abs. है ना, उतनी protein is not the aspect, but you have to let the muscle break before it breaks. Now the minute a bit of stress will come, वो कहेगा मैं ये plan नहीं, मैं अपना plan. और 2 weeks later पूछोगे ना अपना plan ना forum का plan. तो कोई एक plan जो है ना, अपना plan बनाओ या forum का plan बनाओ, कोई एक plan follow करो. The worst people are those who follow no plan, who do nothing, and then they move to a nihilism. I'm showing this message not because we have planned, but because I felt that this person is sorted, because this candidate has appeared for the interview, has certain, some of you know her, है ना, यहाँ कुछ बच्चे आपके दोस्त भी हैं ये, and they know कि कितना, I'm very well aware कि without a plan they will not study. और जब नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो cumulatively it will all come to you. All right. So this is all that I had to say to you today. And I think with respect to the questions that you have asked, एक line में है ना, changing optional we have discussed. What is the bare minimum that we have to do, or 1 pager? I'm not exactly going to say 1 pager. See, sometimes it's difficult to make a 1 pager because you don't know which dimension will be asked. But किसी भी चीज पर है ना, एक कोशिश करो कि certain quotations, डेटा फैक्ट, व्हाट, व्हाई, व्हेन जो है ना, पूछ लो, और सन मून डायग्राम से ऐसे करके पॉइंट्स लिख लो कम से कम. ये जरूर बना लो इन ए वेरी रफ फॉर्मेट. एनी टॉपिक दैट इज देयर, वेदर इट इज फूड प्रोसेसिंग, वेदर इट इज यू नो द ऑर्डिनेंस मेकिंग पावर ऑफ, और ऑर्डिनेंस मेकिंग पावर ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, एंड द की इश्यूज, ऐसे करके करो. डेवलपिंग अ मसल मेमोरी, सो ऑल ऑफ यू आर थिंकिंग दैट आई विल डेवलप. दिस हैपेंस बाय प्रैक्टिस. या फिर एक प्रोटीन पाउडर मैं स्पेशल बना रहा हूँ जो माइंड के मसल मेमोरी पर डायरेक्ट काम करता है, यहाँ हिट करेगा, जल्दी स्टोर्स में अवेलेबल होगा. फ्लडिंग ऑफ मटेरियल, फ्रैंकली आई हैव नॉट सीन वेरी द टॉप नॉच कैंडिडेट्स बीइंग ट्रबल्ड विथ टू मच मटेरियल. मतलब मैं अभी भी बता रहा हूँ कि जो फोरम में दिया जा रहा है उतने कंज्यूम करके एक टॉप रैंक आ जाती, हमको मिल चुकी है. तो इसलिए मुझे समझ में, एंड यू मे से कि सर यू डोंट नो, प्राइवेटली दे मे हैव डन इट. मैं रेजिडेंशियल कोचिंग में मैं किसी बच्चे को पूरे टाइम देखता हूँ जहाँ पर मैं पूरी तरह से अच्छी मोटिव, मुझे पता है कि वो सब कुछ करके आया, अभी उसका कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, और इस सेटअप में उसने कुछ नहीं किया क्योंकि मैंने ही उसे नहीं करने दिया. उतने में तो रैंक आ जाती है. तो इस चीज़ से बचे. फ्लडिंग ऑफ मटेरियल, इट इज़ नॉट द फ्लड प्रॉब्लम, इट इज़ द यू प्रॉब्लम. द फ्लड इज नॉट द प्रॉब्लम, इट इज़ the you problem, why you need so much material. एक मटेरियल पकड़कर उसको अपना कोर नोट्स बनाओ, और बाकी चीजें, what is the minimum that we can do guarantees? There are no guarantees, but yes, if you have studied well, written good number of tests, consciously analyzed your paper कि क्या क्या stupidities कर रहा हूँ, made improvements and are able to score more than 100 plus several times in MGP, you should be probably be doing through. and plus your optional supports you. When should we shift for prelims? If you have only cleared prelims once, this time you can go ahead and do your mains preparation in December and up till January also. But please do not forget SFG वगैरह से clear किया तो उसको करना. बहुत लोग बाहर हो गए हैं नहीं तो अगले साल. एक साल में फेल करके अगले साल प्रीलिम्स हो गया गड़बड़. So shifting now, this time what happens is SFG will be easy for you for the simple reason is that किताबें आपकी रंगी हुई हैं. And anyway, after the first time you clear the prelims, it is very difficult to read the whole book of prelims. Most people, what they do, they solve questions, then they feel bad that they have not studied ये सब topic and they go back and read it. So December से जब December end से मेरे ख्याल से last week SFG शुरू हो रहा है, उस समय से we feel it is fair for everyone to shift. But you can also at the same time keep on your mains and options very oriented. अगर लग रहा है optional में तो optional का कोई आंसर राइटिंग फोकस ग्रुप या टेस्ट सीरीज को कर लो और उसको दिसंबर जनवरी में लिखो. टीचर्स के बाद भी समय रहता है, अच्छा फीडबैक मिलेगा. विद दिस आइडिया दैट आई विल टेक इट टू अ लेवल ऑफ कॉम्प्लीशन. बट ऑल्सो डू नॉट फॉरगेट टू राइट योर एसएफजी टेस्ट. आई बिलीव इट एज अ कन्वेयर बेल्ट मेथड. उस पर चले गए तो फरवरी में सडनली यू विल नॉट बी लॉस्ट. प्रॉब्लम कहाँ आती है? बच्चे का इंटरव्यू आ गया, अब क्या हुआ, जनवरी में इंटरव्यू हो गया, फरवरी में अब उसे फियर लगने लगा. नाउ द पर्सन इज सेइंग सर आई हैव टू लीव 2026 अटेम्प्ट. व्हाई? Because now I'm lost. अब मैंने prelims के लिए कुछ किया नहीं है and my prelims is fragile. Only one time I cleared it. I went for the interview and this is not a different thing. I'm telling you this last year's rank 1 when we were speaking. तो पहला fear उसका यही था 2025 attempt के लिए कि should she go or not, because there was a fear कि सर interview के कारण I was occupied and I could not prepare well for 2025. तो पहला concern ये था कि सर FRC जाना पड़ेगा क्या, या ये हो सकता है 25 वाला attempt हमारा नहीं प्रीलिम्स निकले, ये 24 वाला, तो 25 का मेंस चल रहा है, 24 वाला 23 के रिजल्ट के बाद, 23 के इंटरव्यू के बाद. तो ये फियर सबको रहता है दिस वे. सो ओनली थिंग इज, एंड दिस कैन हैपन टू एनीवन, सो वन लेग प्लीज कीप in prelims so that your mind is active. See, it's not about solving questions, studying. It is about those questions getting inside your mind, impinging you so that you are thinking, and every day your दिमाग sharp है, दिमाग चल रहा है. Handwriting पर I've already spoken. Enough time for 2026. Yes, there is enough time for 2026, except the point where if you are changing your optional, then you may have to think, then you may need more time. But if you take a break, then please have a clear-cut charted external program and map yourself as to a, कभी इसका देखना, there is rank 70-71 एक बच्ची है, तो बहुत अच्छे से उसने वीडियो पर मेरे साथ डेटेड कि सर एवरी डे आई वुड हैव अ कलर कोड इन एन एक्सेल गूगल शीट कि टुडे मेरे टारगेट के हिसाब से इट इज़ रेड और इज इट येलो और इज इट ऑरेंज. 3 कलर कोड मैंने बनाए हुए थे, रैंक 70 है ना. सो बिकॉज शी हैड जॉइन द ईयर लॉन्ग MGP, तो साल भर फॉलो करना थोड़ा सा टफ होता है. तो यू नीड टू प्लान योर डेज. तो प्लीज फॉलो, if there is, please follow external plan. Don't bank on internal plan. Otherwise 3 or 4 months later you will be in deep depression. Why? See, if I'm telling you, you will not get depressed by hard work. You will get depressed if you don't do hard work. कोई hard working बंदा डिप्रेशन में, कोई वर्कलोड के कारण डिप्रेशन में नहीं जाएगा. डिप्रेशन में you go when you are not doing what you're supposed to do. डिप्रेशन में you'll go when you are not able to see a way ahead. All right, then answer strategy, चलो आगे इसके लिए हम कभी करेंगे. वैल्यूडेशन प्लस नंबर, प्लीज हैव 5. जब भी कोई चीज सोचो, डेवलप द एबिलिटी ऑफ नोइंग 5, 7, 9 पॉइंट्स ऑन दैट टॉपिक, है ना. एनी टॉपिक से व्हाई डू वी नीड फूड प्रोसेसिंग, लिंक इट टू अक्रॉस ऑल द सिलेबस. व्हाई डू वी नीड इंटीग्रेटिंग इन सिविल सर्विसेज, लिंक इट टू एज मेनी थिंग्स एज यू कैन. 5, 7, 9 थिंग्स हर हेडिंग के अंदर, 5 बात. उसके बाद बिकॉज दे हैव सेवरल डायमेंशन, सो उससे ज़्यादा की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Library FOMO. Here I want to clarify one thing. I go to the residential coaching library and it is beautiful, it's spacious. When I go there, I feel like studying. So do everybody else. Teachers when they go there. Now what will happen is, some of you when you are studying in your room, you will have a productivity drip and then you will want to go to the library. Does it happen? Does it happen? Now when you go to the library, then what happens? Few days later you feel that library में पढ़ाई नहीं हो रही है. एक चीज पर क्लियर हो जाओ. Let me give you this $1 million piece of advice is that you are in the nature of studying. And the only entertainment, if you're really studying hard, is the change of location you will have sometimes. तो डोंट वरी अबाउट, बिल्कुल लाइब्रेरी में भी पैसा जमा कर दो और घर में भी पढ़ो. जब 3-4 दिन के बाद जब रूम में पढ़ाई नहीं हो तो लाइब्रेरी जाओ, एंड आफ्टर 3-4 days, आफ्टर इनिशियल पीक देयर विल बी अ स्लो डाउन. डोंट स्ट्रगल, कम बैक टू द रूम एंड स्टडी. You keep doing this. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe if in 30 days, 15 days you study well in the library, and 15 days you study at home, there's nothing wrong with it. What is not to be done? रूम में पढ़ रहे हैं, पढ़ाई नहीं हो रही, you want to go to the library but you are thinking कि नहीं रूम में ही पढ़. Don't make rules in these matters. कि स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं बट नॉट गोइंग टू द लाइब्रेरी. एंड देन आफ्टर, जब एकदम ऑपरेशन थिएटर टाइप का केस हो गया कि अब बिल्कुल पढ़ाई 2 महीने बर्बाद हो चुके हैं, लाइब्रेरी में काफ़ी सारे लोग रहते हैं तो लाइब्रेरी भी गर्म रहती है थोड़ी और कमरा रहता है ठंडा. स्ट्रगल पूरा जनवरी निकल गया, अब सोच रहे हैं कि चले ही जाते हैं दिसंबर जनवरी के बाद. और उसी तरह लाइब्रेरी में आफ्टर 3-4 days you will end up making friends and all, and which is the time when your study gets impacted. It's time to switch off the fan and retire to your room and study for 3-4 days. Don't have rules with it. जहाँ भी पढ़ाई हो रही है वहाँ, कहीं नहीं पढ़ाई हो रही तो अपना लैपटॉप कॉपी कलम लेकर चले जाओ CCD या किसी लाइब्रेरी में पढ़ लो और टाइमर लगा के 7-8 घंटे निकाल लो. है ना, अंत में पढ़ाई इंपॉर्टेंट है. वेयर कहाँ हो रही है ये डिपेंड नहीं करता, तो उस पर स्ट्रगल्स नहीं रखो. हैव फाइनली. दूसरी बात, लाइब्रेरी में फोमो देखो, अभी एक ऑनस्लॉट है कि एनीवन यू सी इन द लाइब्रेरी वो वहीं पर सारी क्लास करेगा. उसके चक्कर में ना रहे. कुछ बच्चे टेलीग्राम है ना सारे डिवाइसेस में इंस्टॉल करके रखते हैं, है ना, उन्होंने अलर्ट्स लगा रखा है कोई नया कोर्स होगा तो खरीदेंगे नहीं, बेचना है उसको. खरीदने वाले तो हैं ही अलग, उसको अलर्ट चाहिए कि नया कोर्स आ गया, तुम कहोगे देखना है, नहीं नहीं 5 का ग्रुप बनाकर बेचना है, वो लगा हुआ है. ये सब नहीं करना है. ऐसे दोस्तों से दूर रहना है, नहीं तो इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाओगे. तुम्हें लगेगा यही सही कर रहा है जीवन में, मैं ही स्ट्रगल कर रहा हूं. राइट. योर प्लीज डोंट, एनीबडी हु नोज व्हाट ही हैज टू डू डज नॉट हैव अ फोमो. ये मैं आपको बता देता हूं. अगर आपको क्लैरिटी कि आपको क्या करना है तो आपको फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट नहीं होना चाहिए, आप ना करो. ऑलराइट. कंटेंट डेंसिटी अगेन रिमेन्स इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग योर आंसर, please make sure that when I'm reading your copy, 3 criteria has to be met as a examiner. What I would want, 3 criteria for awarding marks. First is ease of read, कि जब मैं पढ़ूं तो मैं फिसलता जाऊं. If I am taking effort or I am stressed while reading your copy, then I will give you stress in marks. The second, ease of read, please ensure. Second is please have clear segmentation, which means that there are 3 parts of an answer or 2 parts of the question. I should be able to look from far. मैं इतनी दूर से देखूं तो मुझे दिख जाए एक ये पार्ट है, एक ये पार्ट है. Clear segmentation. Please work on this presentation. If you are having this is the first part you have written in the introduction. You want to write a header or a heading. There has to be enough gap ताकि ये दिखे. कुछ बच्चे बहुत अच्छे से who have slow handwriting problem. What they will do is they will write a heading here, and they will write the points from leaving 1/5 or 1/3 margin. तो उससे दिख जाता है कि यहाँ से इसने पॉइंट शुरू किया एंड देयर इज अ मार्जिन लेफ्ट. कई बच्चों की कॉपी में भी देखोगे. आप भी इसको कर सकते हैं, स्पेशली इफ यू हैव हैंड राइटिंग एंड स्पीड इशूज. ठीक है, बट इट शुड बी क्लियरली. थर्ड इज वर्ड्स ऑफ क्वेश्चन शुड बी देयर इन द आंसर. The words of question have to be there in the answer. And fourth is address core demand. अगर वो नहीं करोगे, please do not make one more mistake, that is there are several parts of the question, a lot of content is there. Please don't focus on each word. You get the core demand or essence of the question, you address that. I'm seeing that if a civil service must be neutral, this and this civil service XYZ. Suppose the question comes that a rational, neutral and committed bureaucracy is what is needed to take India to the 21st century. In the context of the given sentences, discuss the civil service reforms. Now the question here is civil services reforms. If a text context is given there, it has it can either be fully ignored or maybe one line you say that a neutral bureaucracy will ensure this versus this versus this, aise karke, and then you immediately hit the civil service reforms of the question. Please address the comedy. If you are able to do this, ease of read is there, which also means both presentation as well as your legibility and readability of the answer. If there is clear segmentation of parts and subparts, if there is words of the question are repeated, and if you address the core demand, at least you will be in the list, in the final list. इतना तो हो जाएगा. और अभी भी इंक्रीजिंगली देखोगे कई बच्चे ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने सीधा सीधा ये दिया हुआ है and they have gotten it. Just before this, a student had sent me a copy, so I just thought एक क्वेश्चन शायद उसका जो है मुझे लगता है कि मैं आपको दिखाना चाहूँ, just because it was here right now. Yes, it just came here and I thought कि now he has few things I just want to tell you. Take a look at this copy. This student clearly has very good clarity of writing. इसकी writing में clarity है. He is not having that battle. The question says, why does the constitution not provide for a conclusive say to the state legislative assemblies in creation, bifurcation or dissolution of a state? What is the essence of the question? Tell me. Everybody knows what is the meaning of discourse. मतलब उसमें debate क्या है? Everybody understand this? कि किसी भी topic पे debate क्या चल रहा है? For example, if Bihar elections are there, then the debate is कि freebies का किस तरह से है ना? Should we give freebies and do cash transfers also are a form of freebies? है ना? There freebies are changing. The union government says I will not give revenue or freebies, but they start giving 10,000 rupees. So is that a freebie or not? So you have, but the primary debate is in this electoral politics. We clearly saw the massive promise of freebies and how they impact on. This is you have to know as a discourse. Discourse मतलब उस topic का core issue क्या है? So this question core issue is why does the constitution not provide for conclusive say to the state legislative assembly, to the state legislative assemblies in the creation, bifurcation or dissolution of a state? Fairly good. Now what will happen is I am seeing copies where the person has focused on creation separately, bifurcation separately and dissolution. That is not the essence of the question. It is simply saying that less powers exist for the states. The say of the state is less in matters of the state's geographical or political integrity. This is the core demand of the question. State does not have any say in its own political integrity. Now, current provisions are given by this candidate. In the second page, he says, why not conclusive say is given to the state legislature. What is the problem with this is that this is not needed. I'm going to read the first line and I want to get the answer. Instead, what am I getting? I'm getting Article 3 of the Constitution says this and this. I read the second part, I'm still not getting my answer. By this end of the page, if I don't give my answer, I will already award him marks. I will not go to the second page. मैं 1.5 नंबर देकर आगे बैठ जाऊंगा. उसके बाद मैं second page पर नहीं जाऊंगा because the core demand I'm expecting in the beginning itself. Do you get this? Now let us come to the answer. Why not conclusive say to the state legislature? Give me, if there is, so remember, always think that if there is only one reason you can give, what would it be? That is a conclusion. No. Why did the constitution not grant state assembly any power in, for example, in...
Sir, because states are not formed on agreement.
Those are very correct, but I'm working with the choice of words. It could have led to very good. You're very close. See, in the first line instance itself, I admit that any conclusive say to the states may have hindered the integration of the states and princely states into the Indian Union, which was undertaken by Sardar Patel. At the time of enactment of the constitution, the whole purpose was not to give political seat. The whole purpose was first to have the external boundary of India. The internal boundary of India could be decided later, but that external boundary he decide nahi ho pata agar internal. So that is why the overriding priority was the national integration of states into the union. And if you give states, then there will be a problem. So this is what if I'm not getting it, then I'm getting good thoughts. According to B.R. Ambedkar, Indian Union formed by uniting together, these are not my demand. You have given me every quotation from Ambedkar to Granville Austin to every political thinker, but you have not told me then no matter. So what this is the problem what happening is, this is what I call a GS notes, which is an assortment of facts, but what I call is यहीं पर content alignment नहीं है इसमें. Content alignment, the question ये है, and this is a candidate from whom I'm expecting a rank, I'm telling you, because he has everything else. उसकी राइटिंग पढ़ो, मैं बिल्कुल फिसलता जा रहा हूँ, मुझे कहीं कोई दिक्कत नहीं आ रही है. If I can, I just want to I'll take maybe one more minute. मुझे वो आंसर नहीं मिल रहा है. And I'm telling you that this question is a thinking paper. मतलब if you think, you will get the answer. And this question says, Article 21 broadly interprets the right to life and liberty illustrated with the relevant case laws. Now here, okay, Article 21, you write that what it does in the second line itself, or it says broad interpretation of article. I want simple Lakshmikant points here. कि right to life and liberty में 5 rights बता दो. See, I'm a professor. I'm only concerned with static. I may not be as well read as you in the newspaper, though I'll appreciate new points. But I need to know whether you are understanding what is the, and I'm telling you this candidate is writing the forest exam, so he knows what is there in Lakshmikant or any book. कि under implied rights, under right to life, and everybody knows at least 5 rights, yes or no? Can you tell me just 5 rights? Right to privacy, right to livelihood, right to clean environment, right to good night's sleep. I am wanting very simple points here that it has been expanded to include several rights such as this. I am not able to get here. Because then I don't know whether the person is getting the essence of the question or not. So this is what I'm saying is what is missing is that since inception, Supreme Court has, and then he has written the case laws. But here it's, you may add more. I'm not saying, but this is not, after this, this is what I'm expecting after. But I will not value it if I don't trust that you know the answer. And I will be immediately in the first half page, quarter of a page, my impression is formed and I'm a professor, I'm not accountable to you. Agar mera impression ban gaya, then there is nothing you can do to change it, and first impressions will be very important. So ye cheeze mistakes jo hai, he has written it. I'm not saying he has not written it in the case laws, but it must be expressed there immediately. In this question, for example, the Election Commission is one of the 3 institutions. Can you read? Everyone read? Take a moment to read it. What is the core demand of the question? It says evolution of the office. Now this candidate, for example, for some reason, let us say he doesn't know the evolution. In that case, you will do some filler activity. What should be those filler activities? Tell me. Now here, let us say I don't know anything about the evolution. I have to just make up an answer. So what you do is, let us say, when you write it like this, functions of ECI, immediately as an examiner, do I think that is this asked? It is not asked. Now what, as an examiner, what am I likely to think? That he doesn't know the answer. It may be possible that he knows, but at this point what I feel, he doesn't. Let us say he has to write filler content, he doesn't know about anything about it. In such a case, it is strongly recommended that if you have to even fill up space, you represent it diagrammatically. You have been told this every time. Instead of writing it like this, agar aap sun diagram banakar banaoge ya moon diagram, just a circle from here to here, if you do it, and then you write, and then you separate it in a box, the examiner has the discretion to overlook it because it is a diagram. Just like when you are reading a book, you forget to look at the diagrams and the tables. फिर जब क्वेश्चन आता है तो फिर जाकर दोबारा, but उस तरह से examiner gets the discretion. He will look at this and maybe award you marks. है ना? And this question is primarily evolution, and the other comment is, yes, is about independence. In the conclusion, what is, so he has written, this candidate has written, there's a problem. In the end, here in the conclusion, you will write down very concrete things, and you have to be a bit of an observer. Not just everything that is given in 365 and everything. Not there. Be an observer and say that why it's independent can be questioned. And independence is the essence of election. Efficiency is not the essence. Remember, if you have to choose between an efficient election commission versus an independent election commission, what will you choose? Independent. Be very clear with these matters. कि less efficient is good. लेकिन independence, if there is a problem, then it means you don't have democracy in the first place. So here, when I would want in a conclusion anything which you think that puts a question mark on its independence or in its and question mark on its integrity and its independence. Can you tell me 3-4 issues that put a question mark on its integrity? Huh? No, you have. I'm talking about think from a citizen's perspective. You are reading the newspaper. कोई newspaper article आया है जो रोज देख रहे हो कि कोई election commission पर लोग attack करे. Why are people criticizing? हाँ? In what forms? When do people say bias nature? हाँ. Yes. So very good. He says कि sir MCC violation. For example, how is it has stopped direct cash transfer or any scheme upload in Tamil Nadu? It is able to do, but in union government scheme in Bihar, 10,000 rupees it was not able to. So what in the last I'll explain that issues such as selective blindness to MCC violations bracket में union government scheme for 10,000 rupees disbursement. ठीक है, that is one. Selective blindness to model code violations. What else? Distrust of opposition parties in the EVM. See, opposition parties' faith in the process is very important if you have a democracy. That is the whole meaning of constitutional morality. Constitutional morality says that no matter what the opposition wants to say, it should say, and you should know that nothing will happen because free speech is protected, and it has the faith that ruling party will not do any hanky-panky with me, or they'll not put me in jail. And similarly, the ruling party knows that tomorrow, if I become the opposition, then this person will not do anything. That is what is constitutional morality. All right. So that is second thing is, as I said, what? The opposition party's distrust with respect to the EVMs. What else? Any? Huh? Or you can say the appointment of the election commissioners despite judicial nudge, right? Judiciary said कि ऐसे करो, उसको हमने ओवररूल किया पार्लियामेंट्री एक्ट से. तो डिस्पाइट और कोई एक पॉइंट कॉमा करके जो भी अखबार में पढ़ा है ना पिछले 6 महीने में, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑब्जर्व्ड थिंग्स. तो व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग द न्यूज़पेपर, ट्राई टू पिक अप कि यार ये दिक्कत हो रही, उसको कॉमा के डालो. एग्जामिनर विल नो एग्जैक्टली यू हिट द बुलसाई. यस
सर, आपने एक वर्ड यूज किया सेलेक्टिव ब्लाइंडनेस.
हाँ,
तो ऐसे बहुत सारे कीवर्ड्स आजकल आ रहे हैं जो कि मतलब
ये बहुत पुराना वर्ड है. दिस वर्ड इज यूज्ड बाय इंडिया टू क्रिटिसाइज द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका. When it says that US is selectively blindness to terrorism by Pakistan, है ना, मतलब उसको अफगानिस्तान में आतंकवाद दिख रहा है, उसको ईरान में दिख रहा है, लेकिन पाकिस्तान का आतंकवाद नहीं दिख रहा है उसको. जहाँ उसके दोस्त हो जाते हैं या उसका स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट, इट इज नॉट एबल टू सी टेररिज्म देयर. फर्स्ट इज, अच्छा एक चीज़ और भी, बच्चे क्लासेस करो जहाँ भी. इफ़ यू आर हियर, प्लीज मेक, आई एम टेलिंग यू, वी हैव मोर पीपल हु आर सेलेक्टेड डूइंग क्लासेस दैन पीपल हु आर नॉट सेलेक्टेड. मतलब मुझे सोच के मुझे कई बार लगने लगता है कि ये भारत और इंडिया हो रहा है क्या, कि देयर इज अ ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल हु नो, हु डू, एंड देयर आर पीपल हु डोंट हैव एन आइडिया. वो लगातार 4 साल से पेपर दे रहे. कोई इट्स पैथेटिक टू मीट व्हेन ही इज कमिंग इन हिज लास्ट अटेम्प्ट, पूछो कहाँ से क्लास किए. एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग दिस बिकॉज आई एम टेलिंग यू, FRC का एक होता है, उसका एक क्राइटेरिया होता है कि उसने क्लासेस कहीं लगाए हैं कि नहीं, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि क्लासेस नहीं लगाए हैं तो उसके सिलेक्शन में अभी दिक्कत होगी. इसको नहीं समझ में आएगी, उसको 2 साल अभी समझ में नहीं. सो that adds to the selection criteria, and obviously you'll see that my interest will be there, that I am able to get a result from there. So I will put that as a criteria because I know कि भाई वो मैटर करता है. So you're saying how do we get? तो बच्चे जहाँ भी क्लास होती है बैठकर करो, नोट्स बनाओ. वो 3 घंटे में बैक होता है कुछ, लेकिन लेकर जाओगे. एक तरफ मैं कई बार देखता हूँ यूट्यूब पे ये है कि शुड आई डू दिस कोर्स, और आप लोग अब मेंस अपीयर्ड क्राउड हो. इसमें मैं बता रहा हूं आपको कि मैं जैसे पबेट के बच्चे, मुझे पता है कि पबेट के बच्चे, मतलब पवन कुमार सर और लुकमान सर दोनों जगह टेस्ट सीरीज लगा के रहते, जो कोर क्राउड है, और बाकी बच्चों को हो जाता है कि मैंने तो फ्री में तैयारी की. इट मे हैपन. उसके बाद मुझे पता है कि लेकर रैंक 14 से लेकर मेरे रैंक 35, रैंक 37 या पब्लिक है, वो 1-2 टेस्ट सीरीज लगा कर बैठे हुए. मतलब ऐसा कोई, दे हैव नॉट लेफ्ट एनी स्टोन अनटर्न्ड. तो प्लीज अगर यहाँ पर हो तो जितना वैल्यू एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हो यहाँ से एक्सट्रैक्ट करो. पिछले 5-7 साल में जितने रैंक 1 है, बाकी का तो छोड़ दो, इसी जगह पर। और दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई आई, मतलब यू विल सी कि समटाइम्स आई विल टेल अ स्टूडेंट कि बच्चे प्रोसेस में लगे रहना, इंक्लूडिंग दिस कैंडिडेट का अगर आप इंटरव्यू देखोगे मेरे साथ, तो आई वुड सेड कि प्लीज स्टिक टू द प्रोसेस और यहीं रहना, कहीं चले मत जाना। फॉर द सिंपल रीजन इज कि जैसे जाओगे यू विल गेट एंटर योर कंफर्ट जोन, घर पे 4 घंटे पढ़ोगे और मम्मी पापा नोबेल प्राइज देने लगेंगे कि बच्चा मेरा, और यहां पर हमेशा इनएडिक्वेट फील करोगे अनलेस यू हैव मेड फ्रेंड्स जिसके बीच में हीरो हो, है ना, कि भैया प्रीलिम्स कैसे निकालें, वो नहीं करना है। यू आर वे पास दैट फेज। गो टू द लाइब्रेरीज, डोंट इवन टेल एनीवन दैट यू हैव क्लियर द प्रीलिम्स, और यू में कुछ मत बता, बोलो 4 साल से प्रिंसिपल अनटचेबल बन जाओ, कि कोई तुमसे बात ना करे कि यू, एंड इट्स गुड, यू विल फील गुड अबाउट इट, एकदम क्वाइटली यू वर्क टुवर्ड योर सक्सेस। आई एम टेलिंग यू, मैं अपना बता, जो काम मैंने चुपचाप किया बड़ा सफल रहा है, जहां किसी काम में हल्ला मचाया है वो काम नहीं होना है। तो योर जर्नी ऑल्सो कीप इट प्राइवेट, एंड बिल्कुल एक सिंगल पॉइंट लेकर काम करो, जहां भी मौका मिले एक्सटर्नल डिसिप्लिन में काम करो इफ देयर इज अ चॉइस, नहीं तो इंटरनल डिसिप्लिन से, और एवरीथिंग राइट डाउन करके प्लीज मेजर वेदर हाउ यू आर डूइंग, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। और जब एफर्ट करो देन पूरी जान लगा दो, एंड नथिंग वर्थ हैविंग कम्स इजी। आई रिपीट, नथिंग वर्थ हैविंग कम्स इजी इफ देयर इज, द ओनली थिंग यू विल गेट इज इजली इज, या तो बहुत बड़ी लकीर यहां पर लिखी हुई कि मिलनी है, वो हो जाता है, नहीं तो द ओनली थिंग्स दैट यू विल गेट इजली इज विच नोबडी एल्स वांट्स। ठीक है, बाकी कोई भी चीज आसानी से नहीं मिलनी। तो द स्ट्रगल दैट यू आर गोइंग थ्रू, एंड आई नाउ नो कि आप इसको अब शायद बेटर अप्रिशिएट, जो है ना, जो ये जो है, इसको अब स्ट्रगल की तरफ देखने, जिसको सक्सेस स्टोरी आपको लगती है, दिस इज देयर स्ट्रगल स्टोरी, दिस इज द स्ट्रगल स्टोरी। इसका भी 2 पन्ने का है, लोड नहीं हो पाए यहाँ पर, ठीक है, लेकिन इट इज नेवर देयर। और ये कोई बोगस बच्चे नहीं है कि बिल्कुल इनको पता नहीं है। मेरे हिसाब से जहां तक मुझे याद है कि आईटी वाईटी से पढ़ के बच्चे, इसके पास पूरा दिमाग है, ही नोज व्हाट टू डू। तो दिस इज देयर स्ट्रगल स्टोरी। वो लगे रहे हैं, लास्ट में रैंक आ गई है। यू स्टॉप, यू गेट थ्रोन आउट ऑफ द प्रोसेस बिकॉज आप लगना छोड़ देते हो। ठीक है, so that is all I had to say, and it was wonderful having you all. Remember, from this class itself, I am telling you very clearly what will happen is a lot of you will come for interview session next year. A lot of you will come in prelims not cleared next year. A lot of you will come in a final next year. It doesn't depend on this session, it depends on you. All right, thank you class.